let's just get on with the fucking conversation.
NatureHacker
is one of these guys that claims to be an engineer that says rockets don't work in space because reasons. Or wait a minute, what's the reason again? Friction?
NatureHacker.
Well,
So,
I mean, the most basic
so
reason is called
rhetoric
joule-free
is
expansion.
A guy who's probably the
And what that means
best,
is that when gas
cameraman filming
expands
amateur
in
videos
space,
for
it does no
SpaceX,
work.
he goes to all their rocket
So when you
launches in
open
Cape
up a
Canaveral.
canister of gas in space,
But they
it
haven't
will
ever had anything
freely
that's
expand at
landed
its
there
maximum
during the
possible
day, so
velocity
we don't
to
actually have
quote
any
unquote
proof
fill
of their
up
landings.
space.
And
You know,
so
it'll
there's
just
actually
go out
another
and do no
person in
work.
here. I'm a rocket
Can I just point out one
who is a
glaring
NASA
flaw with
engineer,
that
so I debated him as
hypothesis?
well.
Sure.
So, thanks
Which
so
is,
much, and let me know what you think
say
of this.
there is an astronaut in space, his tether to whichever craft he was working on is cut. His thrusters aren't working for whatever reason. You do realize that if he was to puncture his oxygen tank and release the gas from that, the escaping gas would push him in whichever direction it's escaping.
Opposite direction that it's escaping.
Okay. Yeah, I mean that's the common conception, but what I'm saying is that it's
Oh, no,
not actually.
No, that's
that
Newton's
isn't a
third
common
law.
conception. That's an understood scientific fact.
Yeah, the thing is that what you're saying is that if you open up a canister, it's just going to freely move out. Well, the thing is that
and it will do no work.
Look up
we're not
Google
well, first of all,
joule-free expansion. That's exactly
hang on, there's
what
two
it says.
flaws. There's two flaws to your thing. We're not letting the gas escape into space freely. We are forcing that shit out at like what, Mach 5?
No, you're not forcing anything. The gas.
No, we are. Well, we're
gas
not
is
forcing
exerting a
anything
pressure.
out.
The gas is exerting a pressure in the tank, but as soon as some hole is opened, it's now free to expand out.
No, we're shooting the flame. We're shooting the gas out.
Well, first right now we're talking about a tank, just an
Do you not
oxygen
know what a nozzle is?
Seriously.
Yes, I do know what a nozzle is.
If you want to say that my analogy about the oxygen tank was flawed, I was trying to make it as simple as possible.
Yeah, definitely. And I mean, NASA even has a
No.
example
Before
on
you
their
start
website.
taking that and running with it, I was trying to make that as simple as possible.
Right. Yeah.
If someone else wants to make a more fundamental or more comprehensive argument, you know.
Sure. Yeah, I'm definitely.
Man,
Hey, Hacker, what kind of engineer are you?
Mechanical.
Okay. From a real university?
Yeah, from a state university.
Okay.
You want to run with that or no?
I just wanted to get that out there. I just wanted to.
Yeah. How about you guys?
Do you know how a rocket engine actually works?
Well, I know how it actually works, and I know how it's the common conception of it working. Yeah, so I know.
Well, the common conception and the way it actually works are the same. So, your little thing that the gas would just escape and expand freely into space, is not quite right. The gas will come out. The exhaust of the rocket does come out, and it does expand into space freely, but it also does work in the process of doing that.
Well, according to joule-free expansion, that's not the case because it expands freely without doing work. That's the definition.
That's not true.
That is physically
look it up.
that's physically impossible. You can't have to expand. The gas molecules need to have kinetic energy, and by definition, energy is the ability to do work.
Right.
So you can't.
Right.
What you're saying is
that's the
physically
thing
impossible.
with the vacuum. That's the thing with the vacuum is it's a non-reversible process. It's irreversible process. So you're losing all of that kinetic energy. Just you're losing it to the vacuum. Is what's happening.
Does the molecule have energy? Does the molecule expanding have kinetic energy? Good.
Yes.
Energy is defined as the ability to do work. In other words, you can. In other words, what you're saying is physically impossible.
Yeah. So essentially, by the rocket going into space, space is this magical la la land where Newton's laws all of a sudden don't work because reasons.
No, that's basically. What I'm saying is that it's an incomplete understanding of Newton's third law, and I mean this is evidenced by joule-free expansion. The gas goes into a vacuum, loses its energy.
No, the gas goes into the vacuum after. Keyword is after. Let me repeat that one more time.
Okay.
After it has done its work.
No, it loses. Work is energy, and it loses its energy to space.
No, that energy is being pushed against the craft because we're shooting that exhaust out and then it expands. But in the process of us, before the actual expansion takes place, we're shooting it out. That process of shooting out, if we're shooting out in one direction, that's going to cause an equal and opposite. That's going to cause an equal and opposite force on the rocket, pushing it in the other direction.
Okay, well, here's the thing. It can't just exert an equal and opposite.
Yes, it can.
Unless it is transferring that energy to a body outside of the system.
No.
Yes.
No. The thing is that you have internal potential energy, and then the moment you exert that internal energy outward at a very fast velocity, that equals the force. Question: Do rockets lose mass when they're lifting off, when they're launching and going to space?
Yes.
Do rockets lose mass? Yes or no?
Of course, yes.
That is potential energy right there in the form of rocket fuel. We then use that, and we push it out at the very end, kind of like you sitting in a chair that has wheels on it on a hard floor with a medicine ball, and you throwing the medicine ball. Imagine the medicine ball as the fuel. Okay, that's your fuel. That's what you have to use. You push it away from you as quickly as you possibly can. The medicine ball goes forward very, very fast. That pushes you back slightly. Now imagine you with that medicine ball. Now imagine you with that medicine ball, and just try to imagine you having the capability of pushing that medicine ball away from you at Mach 5.
Okay.
Would you or would you not get thrown back into the wall with such a force that you will go through that wall, through your garage, and end up in your neighbor's bedroom while they're getting it on?
Probably. But
there you go.
Here's my question. Is there friction between the molecules of the gas inside the chamber? Is there friction there?
Okay, listen, hey, I looked up this joule-free expansion thing that you're talking about.
Awesome.
And you're misunderstanding what it's saying. Okay.
Okay. So
this thing is a chamber with two sides, separated by a membrane. You have a gas in one side. You evacuate the other, so that you've got a vacuum on the other side.
Right.
You then remove the membrane, and the gas expands into the other side of the chamber freely.
Right.
And no work is done because the chamber is connected.
Yeah,
like trying to blow your own sail.
It's like having a tank in space.
The rocket and space are not connected.
Yeah, of course it's connected.
There's something very important with that, Nature, before you continue. From the sound of that joule-free expansion, it's all within an enclosed system.
It's within an enclosed space. It's a closed system. A rocket engine is not a closed system.
You have a vacuum?
Yeah, a rocket engine is not... Okay.
The closed system is the rocket in space.
No.
So I was saying the entirety of the universe is a closed system.
Anyone jumps on this, I want to say something.
Go ahead.
You said earlier that space is this infinite thing that's just going to dissipate everywhere. How the fuck is that a closed system?
A closed system would be equivalent to a rocket feeding its own tank.
Listen, it's like a joule-free expansion experiment with an infinitely big vacuum chamber.
NatureHacker, listen. In a closed system, the rocket would never lose fuel because it would be closed off.
Okay,
the fact that the rocket loses fuel to the point where they even have to stage itself to make that shit more efficient so it can use up that fuel, keyword use up, i.e. not a closed fucking system, proves it's not a closed fucking system.
Right. It's a total system where it's connected to a vacuum called space.
So now there's another term.
No, it's not connected. You're losing
It's
mass.
not closed. If it's not closed, then it's connected to something.
You're losing mass from the vehicle.
Right.
And once the propellants are combusted and forced out the back of the rocket, they are no longer part of that system.
Okay, so what is forcing it out the back of the rocket?
The
Hold on,
expansion
there's-
of the gas
Right,
from
so it's
combustion.
Pressure.
If I may, there's a
pressure.
point I want to get clarification on. You said just a few moments ago it's a total system. Can you clarify that the definition of that?
Yeah.
I got to step
Sure,
away for a moment.
that's just something that I came up with to explain.
Oh, okay. Hang on.
saying.
So you're going to use a term that you just came up with.
Yeah. It's not
okay,
it's not
all
a
right, then.
term, it's just it's the combination of two words.
Okay, give me the definition then.
Okay, what I'm referring to in that is that the total system is space and the rocket inside of it. Just like the total system of the joule-free expansion experiment was a vacuum chamber connected to a pressure chamber.
No, the total system in the joule-free expansion was a closed system.
Seriously,
Because
you are.
it is all one unit.
It was all
Okay.
one unit, and the rocket is not that. If you look at it, a rocket loses mass. The system that you are
And the
linking to
pressurized
with this.
chamber loses
No,
mass
the
too.
pressure system. Listen to this. That chamber that you're referring to for your dual expansion bullshit never loses mass. The
Of
rocket
course it does. It
loses
loses
mass.
the gas inside
Actually,
of it.
no, I have a
No,
perfect
it
way of-
does. It doesn't lose mass.
Yes, it does. It loses its gas to the vacuum side.
It's still the same fucking chamber. It's just that the membrane's been removed between two sides of
Yeah,
it. Either
right.
way, you still have the same amount of gas per volume.
Right, and same with space in the rocket. You still have
No,
the same amount of
it's
gas.
not the same.
Allow me, before anyone, I have a very simple way of explaining this. What you're proposing with the joule-free membrane, imagine hermetically sealed, just there's absolutely nothing can get in and out of an oil barrel. You stick something in one half of it, or no, you move all of the gas down to the bottom, you stick something in the half, or you stick a membrane between, you pull it away, the gas expands again. That's the joule system, okay?
Right, yeah,
Right. That's a closed system, that's everything's in it.
sure.
Now, imagine if you put the membrane in, it's completely sealed, then you cut away the other half and release that into space. Is that still a closed system? Is that still the same
Basically,
experiment?
what's happening instead of
No,
a
no,
one cubic foot
no.
vacuum,
Don't even
you
try
have
and
an
get off
infinite
the tangent.
vacuum.
I
Don't
asked
even
you
try to get away from that question.
simple yes or no. Is what I've just described, where you cut away half of the barrel and release that into a complete vacuum, is that the exact same thing? Is that still a closed system?
It's the same. It's the same thing. It's exactly
No,
the
it
same
isn't.
thing. Yeah,
No,
the
it isn't.
vacuum
No,
is
the
bigger.
entirety of the
vacuum
universe is
bigger
not
in
one
of them.
giant closed system. Seriously.
It's just a giant vacuum. It's like having a giant vacuum in your
Okay,
barrel.
but the way you're describing it, hold on, I want to really get on this one. The way you're describing it, the universe is a completely contained entity. The way you're describing it, it's a vacuum with borders.
It doesn't have to have borders. It just has to be a vacuum.
No. Borders,
Tell me why it
you
needs
need
borders.
something to close it in
No,
order for it to be a
why?
closed system, dumbass.
Redline,
Why would it need
before you
borders?
jump over this and that motherfucker gets to run away with what I said, I'm not saying that the universe has to have borders. I know it's expanding into nothingness. What I'm saying is, for your analogy to work, the second thing that the gas needs to be released into when the membrane is removed would need to have some kind of border on it.
And why is that?
Because the entire dual frequency thing, the name for it, if you may,
Joule-free expansion, yeah.
dual free expansion, that only really seems to exhibit in something that's one object of equal size, you cut it in half, you move all the gas from one side into the other, and then remove the membrane, and it expands into the whole thing.
So if one side is a little bigger than the other, will it not work?
No, I don't care how big the different sizes are. The fact is that it is all a single thing. It's all a single piece.
Hang on, Sean.
No. To use my oil drum analogy, it wouldn't matter if you were using half, a quarter, a fifth, a million.
Right. Absolutely.
Sean, I'm showing your screen to everybody.
The rest of it is still contained. In space, it isn't.
Yeah, Sean, go ahead and I have your screen being shown.
This is a closed system. Do you see how they're both connected and attached permanently? If you release the gas from the left to the right, it's going to do no work because it is still connected to the left chamber.
Which is what I was trying to get at.
Right. The best analogy I can think of is you get a skateboard, put a fan on it, and then put a fish tank over the fan so it perfectly seats on the skateboard. Turn the fan on, it will go nowhere because it is a closed system. That is what you are describing with your little joule-free. It will do no work
because work
it
on
has
itself.
It's doing work on itself. Therefore, it can do no work.
It's a closed system.
With a rocket, you do not have this right chamber. It just releases all that out, and it's gone. The mass is lost, so this box will move to the left. It is an open system. There is no total system. It's either closed or open. Understand?
No. So, I mean, that's not how it works.
So you're an engineer and you don't understand basic closed and open systems. You are a fucking retard.
No, I do. I do understand.
Yeah, dude. No, I'm
gas...
sorry. I'm gonna have to call bullshit on that. If you are an engineer, then you are either the dumbest fuck to get an engineering degree, or you're lying through your teeth.
Yeah, because rather than use the term open system earlier, you created one, total system. That was why I jumped on it, because it sounded really suspicious to me.
So tell me, where is the energy going?
To the rocket, to propel it forward.
In the joule-free expansion experiment,
where
is the energy going?
It's going nowhere because it can't do work, because the force to the right, when it's going to the right chamber, is counteracting the force that it gets from the left. It cancels itself out because it's a closed system.
You can't. What you're trying to do is you're once again trying to compare a closed system, which is what Sean was just illustrating there, to a rocket, which is not a closed system. You're comparing apples to oranges and then bitching and moaning like a motherfucker that your apple doesn't taste like an orange.
No, what you're trying to do, NatureHacker, is put a balloon on the end of the rocket, and as it's expelling the gas, it's filling up the balloon. It can't do work in that situation because the gas can't really escape the total mass.
Actually, I have a simple way of describing the difference between an open and closed system, in this regard at least. Because seemingly this person doesn't actually understand the engineering that he decries he owns, or he understands. Imagine you have two people exactly the same, two twins, two perfect twins of each other, a clone if you want, whatever the fuck. They're both pulling against each other at the exact same rate with a rope tied between them. Are they going to go anywhere?
No.
Okay.
No, I understand.
No.
I understand the point.
Obviously not.
Remove the rope and get rid of one of the twins. He can fuck off and do whatever he wants. Will one of them move?
Say it again. If you cut the rope and one of them tries to move, one will move. Yeah.
That is the difference between a closed system in this regard.
Right. So here, let me explain the point. Let me explain the point that you're making, just so you know that I understand it. So you have joule-free expansion. You have this gas in one side. Okay, now it's a one piece. So you have the gas. You open up the membrane. The gas shoots to the other side, pushes on the other side, but it's pushing on both sides. It's like equal and opposite, so it goes nowhere. That's what you're saying, right? Right. So that means that we would be able to recover that force that it pushes.
No, because it's a closed system.
What you're describing there is free energy. Free energy is bullshit.
What do you mean by free energy?
Oh, for fuck's sake!
Basically, getting energy for doing no work.
I'm curious. This joule frequency expansion, whatever the fuck, I keep forgetting its name because it honestly.
Okay, listen. It has nothing to do with rockets. That's why you're getting confused.
The entirety of that argument relies on it being a closed system. My point was that if you're in the vacuum of space, it's not a closed system. It's an open system. You do understand the two.
Look, I don't understand what the requirements would be. Remember how you said, okay, 1,000,000 times in a barrel, the vacuum could be 1,000,000 times bigger than the gas, and it would still undergo joule-free expansion. Well, space is just 1,000,000,000,000, quadrillion times bigger.
But
whatever.
Not connected.
No, because here's the problem. Here's the problem. Before you even try to run away from that, the universe isn't a closed system. It doesn't have borders. In that regard, there is no fucking barrel.
Yeah. So your example is flawed. What you're trying to give us as evidence that rockets don't work in space is actually a bullshit comparison. You're comparing apples to oranges and then thinking you're making a point.
Well, so if what you're saying with the closed system is correct, then that would mean that it doesn't move because it's hitting
I never
the other
said
side.
anything about closed systems. I've been trying to get your mind off of that shit and getting you to a non-closed system, i.e. rocket.
Okay.
Rockets are not closed system. If you try to make a point, but you have to reference something that is a closed system, then
we're talking about joule-free expansion. Just let me finish.
Joule-free expansion totally relies on a closed system.
Again, if you have to bring up NatureHacker, a closed system as a reason or as an example as to why rockets don't work in space, your example is flawed.
I want to tell you where the energy is going. So when
no,
you have
your
an
example
increase
is
in
flawed
volume,
by definition.
Right. Here's basically what you're trying to do.
You guys aren't letting me talk. Look,
okay.
The joule-free expansion, the pressure is converted into the pressure is basically lost. The pressure is lost to the vacuum. You have an increase in volume. You have an irreversible process.
No, it isn't.
The energy is lost. It's not bouncing off the side. It's lost. It's lost to the vacuum. The energy is lost.
It's spread out.
Irreversible.
Can I just please? I would like to.
Irreversible process.
Okay, I would like to point out exactly what is happening here. For the past however many minutes, we've been trying to get you away from this. I actually wrote it down. Joule-free expansion model, because it's a closed system. It doesn't work because rockets are an open system. What you keep insisting on doing is trying to apply something that doesn't make any sense, and you're trying to apply it to something that's understood. What you are trying to do is say, if things were different, then they would be different.
Let me go ahead.
What I'm trying to do is explain exactly
NatureHacker.
You are not
explaining
what is happening. You are
happening.
not explaining what is happening.
Because all you fuckers shut up.
I'm trying to, but you won't let me.
Hang on, all you fuckers shut up because I'm going to talk to the people actually watching this in the chat right now. So here's basically what's going on. Rockets are an open system, as in the gas that's being exhausted out of the nozzle of the fucking rocket engine, rocket cone. You know what it is going out into space. It's no longer internal to the rocket itself. Now, when you have a solid box and you put a wall in the very middle of that box, thus making two chambers, you fill one chamber up, you evacuate the other side into a vacuum. You get rid of the door somehow, open it, I guess, and they equalize between the two. No work is done because that is a closed system. That's what we're talking about right now. That's where we're at. Now, what NatureHacker is failing to understand is that is a bullshit comparison because you're comparing a closed system to an open system.
Design a new joule-free expansion experiment. We have one sphere inside of a bigger sphere. The bigger sphere, between the bigger sphere and the smaller sphere is a vacuum, and inside the smaller sphere is pressure. Now, would that work?
No, because it's still a closed system.
It's a closed system.
Okay, so it would work.
Fucking me right now.
No, hold on. How did you go from us saying it wouldn't work and then just said, oh, it would work? You are full of more shit than a fucking septic tank.
No, look, I'm saying that experiment would also work. So I mean, we can.
The experiment would be exactly the same as the one with the two boxes connected.
Okay, listen. Adjusting the size doesn't change the fact that it's a closed system.
Actually,
let me read some of this description for this joule-free expansion real quick.
I'm going to try and calm myself down and go back to the very simple analogy I was trying to use earlier with the oil barrel. Earlier when I was saying with the oil barrel, you compress part of the air, put a membrane in, etc. You're containing off part of it. And that was to make a point of the joule-free expansion that you were talking about earlier. What you are now proposing is, rather than just insert a membrane, you bottle up everything that's in the barrel and put it into a bottle which you keep in the barrel. It's still a closed system.
Right. Yeah. So, let me ask you. Mm-hmm.
No, the way you've been trying to describe it is you keep trying to get around the idea that, or I keep trying to get you around the idea that space isn't a closed system.
Okay. Well, explain to me where the energy is going.
The energy is going to the rocket to push it forward. It's going to thrust.
Joule right now.
It's going to thrust. If you,
we're talking about just the pressurized chamber to a vacuum. I mean, where is the energy going in the joule free expansion?
The energy is going to the rocket to propel it forward.
No, he means where the energy is going in the
after the rocket.
Oh, after the rocket, you mean?
No, he means where it's going in the experiment, the joule free expansion thing.
Right.
Oh, you punch a hole in the tank.
Let me read the description of the joule free expansion experiment.
Go ahead.
This system in this experiment consists of both compartments. That is, the entire region occupied by the gas at the end of the experiment. Because the system is thermally isolated, it cannot exchange heat with its surroundings. Get that, it's isolated. Also, since the system's total volume is kept constant, the system cannot perform work on its surroundings.
Right.
Do you pick up the clues there?
Can I take a 4-year-old example?
This is Wiki
is reading
Wiki
from
was
the fucking experiment.
Wiki was basically jacked. I mean, the truth is the gas cannot.
Okay.
No.
It's not that the system can't exert a force; it's that the gas can't exert a force. That is the original.
The gas is the system.
If I may, what you've just said is Wiki has been jacked.
Yeah.
Whoever it is that is going through the Wiki article, and you're a more sober man than
Look, I have.
Shut the fuck up. I'm actually trying to help you here.
Good.
I want you, whoever's reading the article, to go on to peer-reviewed papers, something like that, something very official that the public can't misinterpret and fuck with.
Okay,
find a more official source.
Hang on. You guys now have heard it here. Wiki is in on the conspiracy. Apparently, someone has gone into Wiki.
It's not Wiki.
Somebody goes in Wiki. Just to shit on NatureHacker's parade.
No, not just me. I mean, this is a movement. The rockets don't work in space. Lots of people are talking about it.
How, NatureHacker, honest question, what's the weather like up your own ass?
So there's a lecture from MIT that actually explains it well. I have it on one of my Rockets Don't Work in Space videos in the description, but...
Yeah, I can't wait to see how you quote mined and just completely misinterpreted that video.
Well, check it out.
Oh yeah, don't worry.
What's the video called? What's the name of it?
MIT lecture. I mean, if you go on YouTube and search for joule free expansion, you should find it. It looks like, a dude with a whiteboard or something, and it's an MIT lecture.
For that incredibly detailed description.
Got the papers, Vince. But the thing is, Vince, I don't think they're going to help. The thing is that this dumb fuck doesn't understand the difference between open and closed system, and so the papers that you have sent me that actually go into very nice detail about it aren't going to help this guy because he can't even get out of square one. Understand the fucking difference.
I just found a nice quote.
Spent the past age trying to explain the difference between an open and closed system speaks volumes.
Yeah, and you claim to be an engineer, yet they didn't teach you the difference between open and closed systems.
I think if you rewind back, I explained what the point with that you were making is.
Actually,
no. The point.
No, you didn't. You made a straw man and assumed that you were. You made a straw man. Is what you did
earlier was to try and just not so much change it and how am I going to put this here? What you tried to do is just change the diagram a little bit so that it was still a closed system but looked almost open.
It's still a closed system.
Before that.
Space is not a closed system.
Because we kept trying to, and you did try to attempt to say that, oh well, if we put the gas, liquid, whatever, into a pellet in a giant oil barrel, oh, that's an open system. No. Noted.
Alright, so you can say what you want about that, fine. But let me ask a question. If you sprayed perfume or something in space, would it expand to fill up space?
Expand to fill up space. You can't really it would disperse. I think the word you're looking for is disperse. Yes.
Sure. Yes. It would disperse.
Okay.
And
here's
so
a quote
you don't have to push it into space. Space will allow it to expand. You don't have to pressurize it. You don't have to push it out.
The thing is that the difference between that letting it flow out freely, just let it go out on its own, and forcing the shit out at Mach fucking 5.
Well, what I'm saying is that
Red,
if it expands just freely, then it doesn't matter how
but
much
it
you try to
doesn't
push it.
expand. It won't escape at Mach fucking 5.
Red. I know where the confusion is. I've watched the video he talked about.
Okay.
What he's confusing, or he's thinking that vacuum is the same, regardless of what actually or how the system looks. Apparently, he's confusing the fact that they have a vacuum chamber that is thermally isolated from an atmosphere, and confusing that with being the vacuum of space.
Oh my god!
I'm not confusing.
No, that is
know,
okay. You referenced the video, and that is literally how they set up the example. You have an isolated container that is thermally isolated from the rest of the atmosphere, with two tanks on the inside, with one having gas, the other is a vacuum. Then you cut the what's the word? Membrane. The membrane.
Whatever, yeah.
And the gas expands, and since it's thermally isolated, there's no heat gain or loss. Right. The thing is, space itself isn't thermally isolated from the rest of space.
Right. But what I'm trying to explain is that none of that stuff matters. The only thing that matters is the vacuum and the pressure.
No!
That's what I'm arguing.
No, vacuum doesn't. The vacuum isn't why. It's because it's thermally isolated.
That's not why.
Okay.
Yeah,
it is. If we do the same experiment,
explain to me that.
That is the entire joule experiment.
I think
that is
the
literally the entire experiment.
That's how he made it.
We are all
you don't have to have a vacuum on the other side. You can have just lower pressure on one side.
The reason, put it this way: the reason they're using vacuum is to give the gas the maximum amount possible of actually generating energy. But since there is no way of it to either increase or decrease in heat because it's thermally isolated, there's no net energy gained or lost.
Right.
So
the entire thing hinges on being thermally isolated. If you had the rocket nozzle inside a crate that was thermally isolated from the rest of the vacuum, then you would have this experiment.
So let's talk about
I cannot believe that you just linked to something, basically stating that it somehow proves or shows that rockets don't work in space, but is once again is a clear example of your inability to distinguish between open and closed systems.
I mean, any experiment that you make is going to be a closed system.
That's bullshit.
Right,
let
me
okay, look, how about we have so
can I go back to my 4-year-old analogy I wanted to use?
Hang on. I want to actually give him a chance to talk, and then I'm going to let Steve say something, because apparently Steve made a challenge that he can shut this guy down in 1 minute, and I'm going to hold you to it. And if you do not succeed, Steve, you owe me $5,000 and a blowjob.
Just a BJ. I'm poor.
Okay, fine. Just a blowjob. All right. So, NatureHacker, say what you have to say first.
Well,
you want him to go first?
What I have to say is that you have something pressurized, or it could just be, you don't have to be pushing it or anything. In space, in a vacuum, it will expand at its maximum possible rate. There's nothing holding the molecules back. They will just expand at the maximum possible rate into space. You can't push it any farther than that. They're not doing work.
Yes, you can.
No, you
can't. What the fuck?
Hang on. Steve, your time starts now.
Okay, nature. You saw that the way the things were they're set up, right? You have two vessels.
Yes.
Was it not? Okay. If you take that membrane off, is that going to move anywhere? That whole assembly, is it going to go anywhere?
There would be a slight torque.
No, there's no torque involved. You have direct linear momentum. When the pressurized system, the vacuum is going to have a expansion of the gas in there. Is that going to move that system? Yes or no?
Well, it's going to cause.
The answer could be no.
It's going to cause it to spin a little bit, but
no.
Fine, we can approximate that.
So you agree that it's not going to shoot to either side, left or right, linearly.
Right. Yes.
Okay. Now cut it in half. Now what happens? Like a balloon. What happens? What happens to that balloon? Which way does it go?
It would. I mean, if you're in an atmosphere, it would go the opposite way that it was cut.
Exactly. It doesn't matter if it's the atmosphere or not, though. But look at the assembly.
It's like a balloon. It's like a balloon.
Yeah. Look at the assembly you're having. When you cut it in half, you have like a balloon. You have a conservation of linear momentum. It's going off to the left. In your system, for your free joule thing, it is not. It's a closed system because there's no need for conservation of momentum.
What you're missing out on is the fact that the internal energy does not change because internal energy is a function of temperature, not pressure or volume. So that's
actually,
where you have
internal energy is actually a function of pressure.
No, it's a function of temperatures, independent of pressure or volume.
Pressure, volume, PV equals nRT.
If I may, quickly, if you're going to start
hang on.
But anyways, when it comes to, hang on, 1 second. But he just admitted that in his system, it's not going to go anywhere. But if you cut it in half, it has to go somewhere. It has to be pushed in a direction.
That's only if it's in an atmosphere.
Why?
If it's in an atmosphere, it goes.
Why?
Because.
Why?
Okay, well, this is a whole nother.
It's a whole other thing. So this argument's shut down.
It's the same thing. It's just shifting gears, basically.
So we're back to total system again.
Yeah, total system, whatever that means. Anyways, he is shut down on this argument because he just admitted that it's only for some reason in an atmosphere, but that destroys his argument.
Yeah, he's demonstrably wrong. Good job, Steve, but that's still not shutting him up. So you owe me a BJ.
I'll tell you what. It was close. I'll give you a hand job. Is that cool?
All right, sounds good.
Deal.
Reach rounds, baby.
So then it comes into the question. Well, okay, if it's not just the loss of mass, then what is causing the thrust? So that's kind of another.
No, the loss of the thing is that you have a loss of mass, but that loss of mass is being lost in a certain way. It's not. Right. We're not opening a door and saying to the fuel, go out and be free.
No,
we're saying.
Biopsy.
Yeah, we're basically. What we're not doing, we're not opening the door and saying out you go. What we're doing is we're taking the gas, we're taking the mass that's on board and kicking the shit out of it out the door at a velocity of Mach fucking 5.
Right, but see, space is so hungry. Have you ever seen a vacuum chamber implode? I mean, that gas will it will expand into space at its maximum possible rate.
Excuse me, if I may quickly
Vacuum doesn't suck, atmosphere pushes.
No. If I may quickly interject on that point, a vacuum chamber imploding. That is because there are pressures outside of the vacuum pushing it inward.
Just like inside the rocket.
Whereas in space, it's expanding into nothing. There is no outside force pushing it in, which would cause it to compress in on itself.
A vacuum is nothing. It does nothing, NatureHacker.
You realize vacuum doesn't suck, right?
Well, it's all a point of relativity.
No.
Relativity. Relativity.
Very, very
if you're
simple.
in the rocket,
vacuum doesn't
like the vacuum
suck.
Sucking.
No, vacuum doesn't suck. The gas pushes into it. There's a difference.
It literally doesn't matter. But fine, we'll say, okay, the gas is pushing it. Okay, well, so here's the thing: the gas is pushing, and there's nothing holding it back, and it just goes out.
No. All right, hang on. Hey, NatureHacker, I want you to say this right now. Let's imagine that I had a chamber, but I only had a chamber that was filled to, let's say, 1 bar pressure. Okay. I assume, being a fucking engineer, that you know what 1 bar pressure is, right?
1 bar. I don't know what percentage of atmosphere that is.
You're a fucking engineer. You don't know what a bar is.
Maybe the one he goes to drink at.
We use Pascals. If you were an engineer, you would know we'd use Pascals.
Wow. Yeah, you convert it.
If you were
use atmospheres and Pascals.
Yeah, 1 bar is 1,000 kilopascals, isn't it? 100 kilopascals, isn't it?
For fuck's sake. Okay, listen. But the thing is that if you were an engineer, you would at least be able to do the conversion. What is one?
Not
one
in my
bar?
head. Yeah, if I look it up.
I think it's 100 kilopascals, but don't quote me. You know I don't have computers.
Whatever.
While we're trying to work that out, Nature, can I ask you?
Hang on. I wasn't done with my question.
No, I have one simple question before it continues. It's a simple yes.
Motherfucker, mind your place, asshole.
No. Trust me. I guarantee you this will help. I guarantee. Nature, do you understand the concept of an infinite?
I don't know if anybody does, but yeah.
The concept? He's not asking you. He's asking the concept. You know what the concept of absolute infinity? Yes.
Goes on forever. Sure.
Wow.
Okay. Do you understand the concept of an absolute nothing, like an infinite nothingness?
Sure, like space, theoretical space.
No. Actually, the space that we can observe has stuff in it.
Sure.
I want you to imagine beyond the universe, the literal void.
Okay.
Ex nihilo nothing.
This isn't something that's like, hey. No, this is something really, really simple. I want you to imagine absolutely nothing.
Okay.
everywhere. Do you understand that concept?
Yes.
Okay. Continue with your point. I may drag that point back up a bit later.
Okay, yeah, because I see where you're going with it. So let's imagine I have 1 bar of pressure. You should fucking know what that means. Now, here's the thing. If I have 1 bar of pressure, okay, and I unplug the plug that's holding that pressure in a sphere. Let's say I have a sphere container out into space. At what force will that pressure be released into space? Keep in mind, the internal pressure is 1 bar.
Right.
So what's the pressure that it's going to escape at?
Well, inside the tank, I mean, what's going to happen is the tank is just going to keep decreasing in pressure as time goes on.
At what? Let me try to rephrase it one more time. The speed that the gas escapes is going to be dictated by how much pressure is inside the sphere, correct?
Well, not when it's in a vacuum because the speed is going to be
how about this?
as fast as possible.
Let's imagine I have a sphere that is almost a vacuum. Almost. Okay. So it's almost equal to the outside pressure, which is 0. Right. Let's say it's very small. Let's say it's 0.00000000001 psi. Okay.
All right.
Let's make it like that, and I uncork it.
All right.
Is that pressure that's inside that sphere, which is already so close to a vacuum, is it going to jet out of the sphere, or is it going to slowly exit the sphere?
The important bit here is that there's actually heat loss involved. You kind of have to mention that.
Yeah, exactly. Okay, so how about this? Let's say we have 2 spheres that have pressure. One is filled to a trillion psi somehow, and one is set to pretty much a vacuum, but not quite. Which one is going to have a higher escape velocity with the gas once I open the valves on both?
Personally, I don't think it matters just because it's a gas particle in space.
The inside pressure doesn't matter. Okay, so basically what you're telling me is that if I fill a balloon halfway, or let's say not even halfway, let's say I fill that balloon to the point where it's barely even stretching the rubber, and I fill another balloon to the point where it's almost about to burst, and let both of them go, both of them are going to go the exact same speed?
No, I mean, but we're asking about the speed of a gas particle in a vacuum.
You keep pretending that you can release gases with a velocity. You keep saying that, but that's obviously not true. If you take a deodorant can that's pressurized and have and spray it into a vacuum, that's not going to that's going to expand. That's going to go faster.
NatureHacker, what I'm trying to explain to you is that if you have more pressure inside the sphere, the gas at that point is going to escape faster. The gas escapes faster with more internal pressure. Let's compare that to a rocket. We're causing that gas to escape at such a high velocity that it's causing push on the rocket.
Yeah, we can simplify this to say it's a very high pressure.
We're not making gas freely go out into space. It's not free at all. It's going out, but it's going to go out at such a high velocity, which if we were to let it go naturally wouldn't happen. We're forcing it out at such a high velocity due to chemical energy, and that is what pushes the rocket. And being that it's not a closed system, that energy that we exert has an equal and opposite reaction. That's just so fucking easy.
Yeah, Nature, you said you took engineering. Didn't you ever have to do free body diagrams?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, then can you draw a free body diagram of how your situation would work where if you got mass going out one side, you have equal pressure top and bottom, and you got a net force going to the left on the bulkhead of the rocket, which is going to push it in one direction because of, like I said, conservation of linear momentum.
To my theory, right?
No, not your theory. Draw a free body diagram using actual physics.
Well, you can't draw a free body diagram unless you have forces.
Right. Well, you don't.
What
yeah,
I'm saying
of
is that
course.
there is no force because the energy is not being transferred into a force. The energy is being lost in an irreversible process.
What? If you have
Back onto the closed system again.
We're
you're
back.
You're back to a closed system. This is
It's
not
not
a
a thermally
closed
isolated system. Holy fucking balls!
Yeah, I don't know how this guy's so confused here. If you have mass going out the back end, it's going to push net on the other end, right? Law of
Look, you have
conservation.
energy. You have energy. If the energy is lost to an irreversible process, you cannot
No,
put force
no.
out.
Oh my God!
Steve, see if you agree with me on this one. Have anyone ever used like a compressed air can?
Yep.
Yeah, I suck on them all the time. After this conversation, I might too.
So what happens to the can if you hold the nozzle down?
Yeah, it gets cold, and it
Because of heat loss, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
So even if that gas is escaping into a vacuum, what would cause that heat loss to be cancelled? Because that's essentially what he's saying. He's saying as if there's a vacuum at the nozzle, the heat loss doesn't exist.
All you have to do is do a qualitative analysis of Charles' law. PV1 over T1 equals PV2 over T2, basically. What do you mean? I don't know what this guy's saying. I have no idea.
The heat loss is just from a lack of kinetic energy. You know, you lose pressure, so there's a lack of kinetic energy. There's a loss of kinetic energy.
Fridges and freezers works on the exact same principle. You compress a gas and then you release the pressure, and this is a heat cycle.
Compressing a gas increases the temperature, and then depressurizing a gas decreases the temperature.
Thank you. Which means if you depressurize a tank, you get heat loss, which is energy loss.
You don't necessarily get heat loss. I mean, if it's
What the
perfectly.
fuck you just said? You just said
Well,
that a decrease in pressure equals decrease in temperature, and now you're saying that doesn't happen.
No,
well,
I would
say it's more your volume because you're expanding out, so your volume's increasing. This going to cause a
heat loss
decrease.
Is from
it's going to cause a decrease in temperature. It's going to cause
it's going to cause a decrease in temperature, of course. But heat is the transfer. Is the transfer to an external body.
Heat is defined as a transfer of thermal energy from a concentration of higher to lower. That is what the definition of heat is in physics.
Right. Okay. So if you have one system, you have no heat loss because everything's still in that same system.
What?
If it's thermally fucking isolated.
This is not a thermally isolated system, Nature. You're back on this whole closed shit.
Honest question.
Let's restart on this. Yeah.
Nature, honest question. Which diploma mill did you go to?
Which university?
Which diploma mill? You didn't go to a fucking university. You can't understand the difference between an open and closed system.
I can't understand that.
Okay, how about this? We started a little basics. And Nature, do you know what the difference between a closed, open, and isolated system is? The three different types? Can you give a rundown of the three?
Sure.
So we know we're on the same level of what we're talking about?
Okay. Yeah, a closed system means a system that's not being acted upon or acting upon any external system.
No. An open system is there's no mass being transferred across the.
I said closed.
A closed system is no mass or energy is being transferred across the boundary of the system.
Right. Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, so how does that differ from a isolated system?
Fuck off, James Cloud.
An isolated system. I haven't heard the term isolated system.
Yeah, you're an engineer. Great. An isolated system is there's no mass, energy, or information being transferred across the boundary. It's completely thermally isolated from each other.
So okay. So it's basically the same as a closed system.
No. Have you heard of Maxwell's demon?
Say it again.
Have you ever heard of Maxwell's demon?
No, I have not.
Okay, this guy has no engineering background then. Because it's basic thermodynamics. I'm sorry. Okay, I don't mean to be petty.
So wait. So who are you? Who are you? What is your credentials?
I spent 6 years in the Navy as a nuclear propulsion engineer, taking thermodynamics courses up the yin yang.
Okay, how did you meet Red?
Because he's a cool ass motherfucker.
Okay, so
thank you.
That's kind of interesting.
And he was listening for sex, and I was like interested.
How is that interesting that people on the internet with similar interests meet?
Yeah, go figure, right? It's weird.
I don't know. You explain it to me. I don't know. I'm curious.
Hang on. I'm actually curious. How is this relevant, NatureHacker?
Yeah, no shit, right? I mean, Rocket Man works for fucking NASA.
I know Red, and we were gonna have a discussion. He brings in all you guys. I don't know you, so it would be nice to know something about
there you
it.
go. My name's Steve. Nice to meet you. But it doesn't change the fact that I would think that a person who has an engineering background would know the definition.
Let me go down the list. Let me go down the list. House Soy is a Viking. Angry Pumpkin is a drunk. NatureHacker is a dumb fuck. Microblogism is not a person. Sean makes time lapses. And I'm some douchebag on.
So are you all YouTubers? What are your YouTube channels?
Oh, for fuck's sake.
Okay, Nature, before you start going on to try and be buddy
hang on. Are you trying to build an ad hominem attack right now?
No, I'm just curious.
All right, good. If you're not, then let's stick with the debate. Not understanding the difference between open and closed.
I'm just curious. You guys don't have YouTube channels, so we can't interact with you or anything like that?
Nature,
you're interacting with us right now.
Nature, I have a few very simple questions that are both relevant to what you're trying to get at and what you're trying to get away from, which is the actual debate. How long ago? Okay, firstly, where did you go to get your engineering degree, and how far did you progress?
It's a state university, and I got my degree.
What's the name of the state university?
No.
What? I mean, you guys aren't even telling me your YouTube names, and you want to know my university?
Don't demand that.
Guys,
Don't demand that.
No, guys, let me actually finish asking the questions. I'm not going to ask which... Actually, no. Wait, before... I'm trying to get them all in order, because I'm very conscious about not trying to make it easy for people to dig for others' information, so I'm not going to start asking which university, which class, shit like that. You say you went to a state university. Which level of degree do you have? Bachelor's, master's, what?
Bachelor's.
Okay, so you have a bachelor's. How long ago did you get that?
It was pretty recent, within the last several years.
How long ago did you get that?
What is your YouTube name?
Angry Punk. Oh no! If you want, no, seriously, if you want,
these are pretty personal questions. I mean, you're not willing to give me personal information.
Hang on. NatureHacker. Apparently, my credentials, their credentials are important, but your credentials aren't. See, the thing is that I know why you're actually avoiding these topics. You want to know? You want to know something? You're avoiding answering the question because you didn't go to any fucking university. Because any university, not even a university, a basic college, college
Red,
class
what high school did you go to?
Would have told you. Basic fucking school would have told you. Middle school would have fucking told you. The difference between an open and a closed system.
I know the difference between open and
No, you obviously fucking don't, because you've been confusing the shit out of it for the last 2 fucking hours.
I've been explaining it.
No,
I have explained. I have explained an open system. I've explained a closed system. So I don't know what
guys, please. I want to try to keep this from getting.
Motherfucker.
No, I want to try to stop us all ripping at each other's throats. I did say I made a point, Nature. I made a point not to ask which state, because I'm not trying to dig into your personal details. All I'm trying to figure out is how long ago it would have been that you got your bachelor's.
Why do you need the exact number? I told you several years.
No. The reason I'm asking for the exact number is so I can get an idea for how much the knowledge might have degraded. Because if you were taught something 10 years ago, you're not going to remember.
How about this? Is it more or less than 5 years?
Less than 5 years.
Right. Okay, so it should be fairly intact.
Right. I'm going back damn near 25 to 30 years, so.
And okay, so basically, Steve, by that analysis, then, if we're going to compare and contrast, NatureHacker apparently doesn't understand the difference between open and closed systems, and you do, and we have him basically has an engineering degree supposedly that's very recent. You're going back over 20 fucking years.
Right. I didn't finish my degree then. But I have enough credits for a degree, but I didn't actually finish it. So I have about 120 credits.
NatureHacker. Listen, you can keep saying that you're an engineer. I'm not going to fucking believe you from this.
All right, that's fine.
Well, how about this? NatureHacker. I mean, everybody who studies these kind of subjects do have some basic coursework they have to go through. Would you agree, Nature?
Yes.
And you said your background was mechanical engineering. Was that correct?
Yes. Yeah.
Okay. So I mean, did you and you took physics, right?
Yeah.
Obviously, in mathematics. So if I asked you very simple things like I actually brought this up the other day because someone claimed to be a structural engineer, and I asked him, "Do you know what Young's modulus is?" Have you ever heard that term, Young's modulus?
Of course, mechanical engineer.
Okay, and can you just basically what it entails?
Yeah, it's basically like stress and strain of mechanical objects.
All right. So I mean, you obviously then you're not exactly like somebody off the street that doesn't know anything. This kind of confuses me because a closed and open system is pretty basic.
I don't know. I don't see. I mean, can you point out where I said that was wrong? Or I said wrongly of that or something.
Because no, you didn't say that the difference between closed and open system is wrong. Whatever the fuck that means. What you're doing is you're confusing the rocket for a closed system by comparing it to other systems that are closed.
Technically, it's comparing it to a
here's what I was doing.
Isolated system.
Here's what I was doing. I am saying that joule-free expansion. It happens in more situations than the narrow definition listed on Wikipedia.
That's in space with a rocket.
It needs to be thermally isolated, no matter what.
This is a very direct example. This is a very direct situation. We're talking about a rocket, like for example, an Atlas V or a Falcon 9. You know, same fucking thing. All right. So we have a rocket that is expelling gas at a very high velocity into space, i.e. not a closed system. What you're giving as an example is gas going from a pressurized chamber to a vacuum chamber where they're connected in the middle, i.e. closed, not a correct example.
Yeah, Nature, let me ask you this real quick. In the joule-free expansion, is there a change in temperature?
In joule-free expansion, change temperature. Well, it depends. I mean, you have to think about
it depends.
Okay, there is no change in temperature. No work has actually been done in the system. So the temperature is being constant. So
the temperature can't be constant in that. I mean, inside the system, the temperature is not constant because there's less pressure.
In the joule-free system, the temperature remains constant.
No.
All right, hang on.
What it says is that there's no heat transfer.
Hang on. NatureHacker. Fair criticism in the chat. Fair criticism in the chat. I'm going to give you all the time you need to explain to us in detail, without interruption from everyone here, exactly how rockets do not work in space, to basically detail your entire argument from start to finish. And you will have all the time you need. So, NatureHacker, I'm going to tell all these people, all these fine people in this room, to shut the fuck up, otherwise I'm going to boot their ass.
All mute.
All right.
Yeah,
well, just to start off, I mean...
Hang on, NatureHacker, but after that, though, you shut the fuck up and let us talk. Deal?
Sure.
All right, good.
I'm back, by the way.
All right, good. And then in that case, I'll let Rocketman respond to you. Everyone, mute. Let him go. And NatureHacker, why do rockets not work in space from start to finish?
Should I talk about how I think rockets actually work?
Do whatever you need to do to illustrate your argument. Go.
Okay. Well, thank you. So I've outlined this in like 9 videos on my channel, so it's a lot of different arguments. But basically, let me just explain to you how I think rockets work. And the way I think rockets work is they create pressure behind it, kind of like how a hot air balloon creates pressure, or it creates a low pressure zone, which kind of lifts by buoyancy, but it creates a pressure zone behind the rocket, and the rocket, more or less, for lack of better words, floats on that high pressure zone. So it's pressurizing the air behind it, and that high pressure zone is pushing the rocket up. So now what happens is, okay, well, that's all well and good, but now if the atmospheric pressure goes down, then it's more difficult for you to pressurize the location of space behind the rocket. So what happens is you lose thrust as you go higher in the atmosphere. It's called an underexpanded nozzle. You lose thrust because it's harder to create that high pressure zone behind you. So the higher you go, the less thrust you lose. Ultimately, you stall out. So that's my idea of how a rocket actually works. Now, why a rocket doesn't work in space? Well, it's the same principle, is that there's no basically. So what's happening is that there's a stream. So another way to look at it, okay, you have a high pressure zone, but you also have like a stream behind where you are ejecting mass, like these guys are saying. You're ejecting mass away from the rocket. Now, what happens is gas follows a path of least resistance. So if there's no atmospheric pressure, it will go out at right angles. And if you go out at right angles, then the net force is zero, because you have a right angle all the way around, so there's going out in right angles to the rocket, so the net force is zero. So you have to force the gas to go in a stream. And to be able to force gas to go in a stream, you have to have an external pressure holding that stream in. So I've done an experiment that kind of shows that. It's like a hose in a bucket example. You take a bucket full of water, you turn the hose on, and you'll notice it kind of is pushing back if it's a good hose. You put it in the water and it kind of just falls. It's like you no longer have the stream of water. Now, as soon as the water leaves the hose, it goes out at right angles. So you're losing a lot of the thrust from that. And so it's no longer a stream, the surface tension is broken, and that's equivalent to a rocket in an atmosphere. And then when you put it in the bucket of water, that's equivalent or approximation of a rocket in a vacuum. There's no more surface tension, there's no more surface tension in the stream, so it goes out at right angles and you get a reduction in thrust. All right, so that's it. So go away, go for it. Let's hear it.
Rocket Man, do you want to take hold of this?
Wow. So basically, you think a rocket rides a pressure, sits on top of a high pressure bubble and goes up.
Right.
That's basically what I got out of that, right?
Yeah.
Okay. So do you not believe that Newton's laws work? For every reaction there's an equal and opposite. For action there's an equal and opposite reaction. Do you not believe that?
I do, but I feel that friction has to be required. But yeah.
Okay. I've got no problem with friction. That really doesn't have anything to do with it. But so all the thrust that's coming out the back of the rocket, that's mass. That's liquid that's being converted into a gas and accelerated very fast. So that's got a force behind it, right?
Are you there?
Yeah, can you hear me?
Yeah, okay. Sorry, it just froze up for a second.
Did you hear what I said?
If you could repeat, sorry.
Okay, so all the propellants, the liquid propellants in the vehicle,
right,
come down to the engine where they are mixed in the combustion chamber, and they ignite there, and so they expand very rapidly.
Yes.
And they are forced through a converging, diverging nozzle.
Mm-hmm.
So you restrict them, so you build up a high pressure behind the throat,
right,
and then they expand, and that accelerates them. So and that has mass. So there's an acceleration and a mass. Therefore, there is a force, right?
Well, yeah. If those particles are going directly backwards, sure. Mm-hmm.
Okay. And you don't think that force does anything? You think it's just that we're on a...
Well, the difference is I think that the molecules...
Pressure bubble up?
Right, yeah. And I think that basically in a vacuum or in a low pressure area, those particles are not going straight back. They're actually going at right angles or, all directions or whatnot. So that's the difference of what I think.
Okay, I'm not talking about in a vacuum. I'm talking about just getting off the ground right now.
Yeah.
That force coming out the back of the rocket.
Right.
The mass of the gas and the accelerated and the acceleration is going to create a force vector in the opposite direction. Would you agree to that?
Sure. Yeah, and I feel that that's the kinetics of all of that goes into the high pressure zone. But yeah, I mean, yeah, I definitely agree with the way you're explaining it. Yes.
Okay. So it's that force.
Mm-hmm.
It's not the pressure. It's that force that pushes the vehicle up.
Mm-hmm.
Okay?
Yeah, I can agree with that, yeah.
All right? And as you go up higher, you don't actually lose thrust. You actually gain thrust. If you go look at the sea level thrust of an engine and the vacuum level thrust of an engine, you will see they're higher.
Well, vacuum, I mean, that's, if you actually look at real data where it's like 10,000 feet or 100,000 feet or something, I mean, it's called an underexpanded nozzle.
Okay, you were asking about credentials. Can I give you mine real quick?
Sure, I'd love to hear.
I work at NASA. I design and build rocket engines.
Excellent. Wow. It's an honor to talk to you.
So the underexpanded thing that you're talking about,
right?
You got to get away from that because you're getting yourself hung up on that. Okay. Every rocket engine, every nozzle is underexpanded.
Well, not necessarily. It can be overexpanded.
No.
At a low altitude for the nozzle design.
No, because here's what happens. You don't run a nozzle that is overexpanded because you'll get pressure gradients around that nozzle and it'll tear it apart.
Okay, sure.
Go look at
it is possible. I mean, you can have it slightly
listen to me. Listen to me.
Uh-huh.
Go look at the shuttle. Go just Google or YouTube Space Shuttle main engine slow motion startup, and you will see as the pressure wave comes down the nozzle.
Mm-hmm.
All right, because it's going basically from atmospheric pressure, and you're building up pressure in that nozzle, and it happens really fast.
Mm-hmm.
But they've got slow motion video, and you'll see a pressure wave come down that nozzle until it flows full. Okay?
Mm-hmm.
And you'll see that nozzle flex like 6 to 8 inches.
Okay. Mm-hmm.
All right? It flexes a lot. Now, that nozzle is thick metal, and it flexes a lot in that little bit of time.
Wow.
So if you try to operate a rocket engine that's not flowing full, the nozzle will rip itself apart.
Okay.
All right? So they're all at sea level. They're designed to start up and flow full, which means they are slightly underexpanded, or they're right at that limit. And as you go higher and higher, they become more and more underexpanded.
Okay.
Right? That's just the way it works. The nozzle can't. The nozzle is designed to operate at a point.
Right.
And it can't change. So you operate it in a non-optimal way, but that just means you lose a very, very tiny bit of efficiency, very tiny, but not very much. All right. So when you're in space, now if you look at the nozzle on an upper stage engine, the one that's designed to start
at a high altitude,
right, it will have a much bigger expansion ratio.
Right.
All right. So if you look at like an RL-10 or something like that, it'll have a very small throat and a very big nozzle, and it'll have a big expansion ratio because they want to get it as efficient as possible because it starts basically in a vacuum. Right. But even then, you can't build it so that it's always, optimal because once you get up, when you're in a complete vacuum, you would have to have an infinitely big nozzle. Right, that's not practical.
Right, exactly. Right.
I've had this conversation with you on YouTube, and I posted some links for you to.
Okay.
Right.
Okay. Which videos do you remember? Or?
I don't remember.
Okay. Interesting though.
All right. So
I was talking to somebody from NASA, and I didn't know it.
So
that's pretty cool.
So don't get hung up on the whole nozzle being underexpanded thing. You're talking about you're taking an efficiency hit of like 0.2%. Or something like that. It's a ridiculously small number. It doesn't really matter.
I'm looking at these things like, let's say, SpaceX and Red's video. You can see the exhaust plume is so wide, but it's like a lot of that force. It gets
wider as you go up because you're basically, and if you see it at sea level, they flow pretty much straight down, right? And then as you go up, they start to expand because the atmospheric pressure is lower.
Right. But so then all of that stuff that's coming out basically at right angles, it's all canceling. All of that force is canceling each other all the way around.
No, it only expands after it leaves the exit plane of the nozzle.
And we have told you this before in our last hangout. It does the work while it's still in the fucking nozzle.
The nozzle basically keeps it constrained. And once it's past the exit plane of the nozzle, it's not doing anything anymore.
Hey, Rocketman, can I, to make it simple that I think most people can understand, right? It would be the same as the combustion chamber in a combustion engine versus the exhaust manifold, correct? Or thereabouts?
Yeah.
I mean,
the energy happens inside the combustion chamber. The exhaust is just the byproduct, or whatever is left.
Yeah, exactly. So once the gas has gotten outside of the engine to the point where it's expanding, its work has already been done, NatureHacker. When you're talking about that, you're already going way too far. You're going way too far beyond what the actual point of the conversation is about, which is rockets working in space. Because after that, you're talking about a byproduct. You know, that would be like me talking about the rockets working with turbo pumps, and I'm here talking about the fucking smoke trail they leave behind. The smoke trail is irrelevant to the rocket. That's what you're talking about right now. If you talk about the gas expanding after it has left the rocket engine, that is beside the point, because that's not where the rockets. That's not where the work is done.
Right. Well, but see, there it's like a bullet. You know, you're actually pushing the piston, so that's where the work is done. You're confining the gas and making its pressure be converted solely to the movement of a piston. So then you got that Newton's third law going on where.
Yeah. But the thing is that the movement of a piston is. I mean, you're talking about a compressed chamber, okay?
Right.
But now let's imagine that I had a medicine ball. And I threw it out at Mach 5, just like recoil on a gun. It's the same thing, but instead of a solid bullet, instead of a medicine ball, it's the mass of the actual fuel itself within the rocket.
Right.
And the work of that fuel, the work of that fuel is done while it is still within the nozzle of the engine. The moment you start talking about that gas outside of that nozzle, you've gone way too far.
So let's go back to the gun thing for just a second, because there's a simple analogy there. Okay, you've got a barrel on a gun, you've got powder and a bullet. The barrel is basically the combustion chamber and the nozzle, for lack of except it's just there's no expansion ratio. It's just a straight nozzle. That gas behind that bullet is expanding. It's accelerating that bullet. It's acting with a force on that bullet.
Right.
The minute that bullet has left the end of the barrel, that gas is no longer working on that bullet.
Right, absolutely.
Okay? It's the exact same thing, except the rocket is the bullet, and the gas is coming from inside the bullet for more fullness. So the minute that gas escapes the end of that nozzle, it's no longer pushing on the rocket. Okay, it's pushing on the rocket in the combustion chamber when it's going through the throat and when it's expanding out the nozzle, and it's confined by the outer bounds of that nozzle. There is something for it to force upon, to act upon. Once it leaves the end of that nozzle, it's just gas, and it's free to do whatever it wants to do.
Absolutely.
It will not act on the rocket after that in any way.
Okay, well, yeah, I mean, I see what you're saying, but...
You see what we're saying? Okay, hang on. So you see what we're saying? Now you understand how you've been incorrect this entire time.
No.
Rocketman, can I take a last shot? It's something I mentioned in side chat last time he was in a hangout with us, but it never actually got brought up. And that's, have you ever built or seen a vacuum gun, Rocketman? Or know what it is?
Oh, one where you pull a vacuum and then you burst a diaphragm or something?
Yes.
Yeah.
Would you agree that that's a reasonable comparison? Because it's essentially what it is, right? It's a transfer from a high pressure state, which is just atmospheric pressure at that point, towards vacuum, and it's pushing an object, and the object would essentially be the rocket nozzle, correct?
Wait a second.
As in, okay. Like in a vacuum gun, right? You have a state of low pressure, which is the vacuum inside the tube, and then you have high pressure, which is the atmosphere outside, right?
Right.
And when you burst the membrane, you get the same kind of push as you would by firing a rocket, or well, not the same kind of push, but essentially the same method of transferring force, right, from a high pressure to a low pressure, and it acts upon the object inside the barrel.
Right.
And it can push that object through the vacuum, no problem.
Yeah, well, see, the vacuum. What people get mixed up on, they think that you have to have a. I mean, the thing is, you have to have a pressure difference, right? Because in the rocket engine, you've got pressure, right? You're operating it. You know, in the case of the shuttle, you're operating at around 3,000 psi. A lot of other engines, it's much smaller. It's like 1,500, 1,200, 1,000 psi. All right, and that pressure is necessary. You know, I mean, that's the expansion of the gas. But that basically is. It doesn't matter if there's an outside pressure or no outside pressure, as long as there's a pressure difference to force the gas out. Then you're going to have mass times acceleration, and that's where you get force. And I don't know why NatureHacker got on this whole closed system thing, because there's no delta force in a closed system. All the forces cancel.
Yeah, and in the case of the vacuum gun, just because I wanted to see if that was correct, in that case, and essentially the atmosphere would be the liquid fuel tanks, or the fuel tanks.
Right.
Right. So
yeah.
it's just from high pressure to low pressure, and that gives energy to either propel something backward. Well, if it's a fixed object, it propels both directions with equal force.
And again, not a closed system, correct?
Right.
Yeah.
There you go.
So NatureHacker, why do you think? You say you understand what I'm saying, but you still don't think that's correct? What is?
Yeah.
I just think that the analogy is a little off. Like, the way I would say the analogy is that that the barrel is the nozzle, but there's no bullet in the nozzle that the nozzle is shooting out. There's just gas. So it's like a blank. So I'm saying that the nozzle is more like shooting a blank in a gun. There's no
even a blank has opposite forces.
I actually
now here's the question. Here's the question.
Analogy that would work perfectly for this.
Wait a minute. Hang on. NatureHacker, what's your fucking question?
Here's the question. Will a blank give you the same amount of recoil as like a 100-grain bullet or something?
No.
Exactly.
Because the mass is different.
No, the propellant, the gas is the same.
The mass is different.
It's different. It doesn't have a bullet in it.
That lead bullet has mass. You're accelerating that mass.
I agree with that. But what I'm saying is the rocket nozzle is like a blank. There is no bullet in the nozzle.
Sorry,
but even a blank has recoil.
I'm sorry, but there's something I think we can get away from.
Pumpkin go with this.
Yeah. No. There's something I just want to say. He's getting hung up on bullets versus blanks, and there's a simple one. Have you ever used a fire extinguisher?
I haven't, but I can imagine. I've seen them.
Right, so you know that if you've never actually felt that recoil whenever you're holding it against something, and it just sort of judders, and you have that constant bit of pressure.
Mm-hmm. I believe that. I think I've felt something like that, maybe like a paintball gun, something like that. But yeah.
It's a similar concept, but the reason I was going with a fire extinguisher is it's not the exact same as a rocket by any stretch of an imagination, but it works kind of similar in the regard that you're going to get a jolt of power, and then you're going to have a continued resistance as long as you're expanding the gas, the foam, the liquid, whatever.
As long as there's a loss of pressure.
Yes.
I mean, the thing is, NatureHacker, everything that we have tried to explain to you is actually how it works. And now you seem to be having trouble not only distinguishing the difference between open and closed systems, but the difference in mass between a full bullet and a blank one.
No, I agree. No, I agree with what you guys said. Is that yeah, obviously the high grain bullet is going to give you a bigger recoil, but the reason is because there's
Mass.
actually
There's actually mass there, and the thing is that let's do a little thought experiment here. There's mass inside a gun, and we fire that mass at a very high velocity, which adds to recoil, correct?
Yes.
Okay, now let's imagine a gun, a fully automatic gun that's firing bullets over and over and over and over again. Would you have continuous recoil, continuous push on the hand that's holding the gun, correct?
Yes.
Good. All right, now let's replace those bullets, the mass of the bullets, with the mass of rocket fuel. Would you have a continuous push?
Well,
just a yes or no will do.
It would depend on the direction the fuel.
No. A yes or no will do. Following the gun example, if we simply replace the mass of the bullets with the mass of rocket fuel, will you get a push?
Of liquid rocket fuel?
Liquid rocket fuel, correct.
It would not be as much. It would be less.
Would there be a push?
There would be, but it wouldn't be as
All right,
much.
Good. That's good enough. Now let's move that gun to space. So let's jump back again. We're in space, okay? We have a gun filled with solid bullets. Solid, made of metal, the same shit that they're using in Afghanistan war or wherever the fuck. All right, so we fire that bullet. Will you get a recoil? Keep in mind we're in space right now.
Okay, so we're in space. You fire a bullet. Yes, you'll get recoil.
You'll get a recoil. Now imagine we have a gun that will fire a fully automatic gun. So it's continuously firing bullets. Will you get a continuous recoil?
Yes, you will.
Which means a continuous force on the gun or on the hand holding the gun.
Yes, and you were traveling through space. Yep.
You would be traveling through space. Now let's replace the mass of the bullet with the mass of the fuel, and let's add another thing. Let's also replace the mass of the fuel, and let's speed up the fuel. Now let's make the mass of the fuel go out at a much higher velocity than a bullet will ever dream of traveling.
Right.
What would happen?
Well, like I was saying
you would travel
before,
through space, right?
It would depend on the direction that the fuel goes. If it's going perfectly straight back, just like a bullet would, then yes. But if it's going outwards and you're getting cancellation of force, then no.
Actually, if I may interject, as long as it's being pointed away from the source it's coming from, it's going to provide thrust. It wouldn't matter if it's pointing
right.
If it's pointing 45 degrees to the right, it's still going to be pushing relatively backwards, as long as it again turns back 40 or what would be 90 degrees to the left.
Let's go back in atmosphere. All right, NatureHacker, we're on land, okay?
Okay.
I fire a bullet inside the gun. Does the recoil happen when I pull the trigger or when the bullet starts moving?
Recoil happens all throughout the traveling of the bullet through the barrel.
But I didn't ask for the duration. I asked for when it started. Does it start when the bullet starts moving?
Absolutely.
All right, good. Does the bullet start moving outside the barrel or inside the barrel?
Inside the barrel.
All right. If the gas starts moving inside the barrel, wouldn't that be where the recoil happens, i.e. the force?
Okay, so if the gas starts moving inside the barrel, well, it depends on.
I'm really trying to walk you through this.
What you got is a change in the center of gravity, basically.
Let me try this again. You
What?
said.
Wait.
What? Wait a minute. Did my ears just deceive me? What did you say again?
Didn't.
Never mind. That's not.
Hang on.
Even the dog's pissed off.
Even the dog knows physics better.
I'm visualizing this. Okay, I'm trying to understand it while I'm visualizing it, but no. Yeah, the center of gravity won't matter.
Okay, but look, I think you think that coming out the exhaust coming out of the combustion chamber is just like bouncing all over the place in the nozzle. I mean, is that your impression?
Sure. I mean, I kind of see gas as kind of like a quantum effect. Like it's just kind of vibrating and.
What?
I don't.
Would it be considered to be like a laminar flow of gas going through there through the nozzle?
Yes. Coming out the back of that nozzle, you basically have parallel flow of gas. It's a laminar flow.
Exactly. There you go. Thank you.
Whoa. Okay. All right. I'm going to ignore that.
Well, if I can interject real quick.
Fine. After Houseaway has his fun.
Yeah, I just want to ask Steve and Rocketman because they know this more than I do. Wouldn't you agree that, okay, let's assume it's the gas past the nozzle that produces thrust, right? Just for the sake of argument.
Okay.
It has nothing to do with the actual engine. It is only past the cone, right? Right? Wouldn't you agree that even if the gas expands in all directions behind the cone, everything is still behind the main vessel, and there will always be one vector, namely straight behind in the linear motion, where the force will not be cancelled out and will produce thrust?
I would say it was a very small amount. But
I'm just saying, like,
that's dangerous to go down that way because you're really talking about there would have to be some connector between that gas and the engine, so you would have to have a significant enough pressure.
I agree.
Let's just say the pressure inside the cone, or essentially. I only wanted to mention this because he keeps going on about this whole the gas will expand in all directions and the forces will cancel out.
I think he thinks
we already went there. Let me try to get back to it. You, NatureHacker, you said that the recoil starts when the bullet starts moving.
Yes.
And you agreed that the bullet starts moving when still inside the chamber.
I have to correct something.
All right, good. If we're in space and the bullet starts moving inside the chamber, then as a result, that's going to make a force. You agreed with this.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
Good. Let's replace the bullet's mass with the rocket fuel's mass, and let's add another variable to that. Let's also increase the velocity of that exponentially.
Right. Okay, so I do want to say I was wrong about something. Okay, I was wrong.
I can say you're wrong about something right now.
Yeah.
Okay, go for it.
Hang on. No, hang on. Sean, not to cut you off, NatureHacker. Let's stick with this example though, because I really want to make sure that because I've been trying for I've been really trying to get you to understand this very simple concept.
Yeah. So in your gun example, you have the liquid. Yes, it would be the same as a bullet while it's inside the gun. Yes. I mean, I agree with that. That you could replace the bullet with liquid and you would be totally fine.
Now let's increase the velocity of that. You increase the velocity of that exponentially. The bullet starts moving while it's still inside the chamber.
Right.
Does that, yes or no, does that produce a push against you?
Yes, it does.
Let's replace the gun's chamber. The gun's opening, I should say. Let's call it an opening now, because it doesn't matter if it's long barrel, short barrel, whatever. The point is there's a barrel.
Right.
Now let's replace that barrel with the cone of the rocket.
Okay.
All right. So we have all the same parts are there. What happens to the rocket when we do the same exact thing as we done to our bullets of rocket fuel? What happens?
Well, but that's the thing. And now it's a gas, and
it's a gas in the bullet.
You just said that you can.
Well, here's the thing.
Hang on. You just
said a pressurized tank.
Hang on. You just said you could switch rocket fuel with a bullet and it would not matter. You admitted to that mistake, which I commend you for doing. Now let's move on and let's apply it. Now instead of a gun's chamber, let's do that to the rocket's chamber. Does the same thing happen, being that we have all the same things happening?
But there's no bullet in the rocket's chamber, is the thing.
Fuck me!
It's like a blank.
No.
You just said that.
Red, please.
Fuck.
if you're going to use the argument of there's nothing in the chamber, it's all gas. Gas has a mass.
Right.
And here's the thing. You just said you can switch the bullet's mass with the fuel's mass, and you will still have mass that is there. You agree to this?
Well, a liquid fuel, yeah.
Yeah,
So-
it could be
It's
gas
still
as
mass.
well.
It could be gas as well.
Okay, but
Well,
nature,
the
listen.
gas might escape the barrel.
Nature, do you realize that you don't even need mass? If you have a flashlight, which is just shining photons with no mass, you're still going to have that flashlight is going to be moved in the opposite direction. How do you explain that? When a photon
Okay.
is massless particle, it's the same principle.
Okay, but with the mass, it's a lot easier to understand. Let's stick with stuff with mass. So the bullet has mass, the liquid fuel has mass, even the gaseous fuel has mass. You accelerate that mass within the chamber of the gun, you will get a recoil, correct?
Yeah.
All right, good. Now let's replace the barrel of the gun with the cone of the rocket engine. And let's add another variable as well. Let's accelerate the gas a shitload faster.
Right. But see, here's the thing. You're not, I mean, you're going to give me crap for it, but you're not actually accelerating the gas. It's just a pressure, and the
Oh,
pressure
for
will just mean that
fuck's
the
sake.
gas is constantly moving with a constant velocity.
All right,
No,
all
it's
right,
not.
guys.
No, it's
guys,
not.
Guys, you can have your fun. I fucking give up. I'm gonna go bash my face against the fucking wall. I give up with this douchebag. He's a
NatureHacker.
dumb fuck.
Yeah.
NatureHacker, what happens when you take your thumb and put it over the end of a garden hose?
It builds up pressure, gives you a longer stream, etc.
What happens to the velocity of the water?
Increases.
It increases.
Yes.
You know why? You know why?
Because I'm trying to think. I mean, it's
Because there's more pressure.
what do you call it?
Potential
Because
energy is
it's,
converted from
you're
kinetic
You're
energy.
restricting
Bernoulli
the flow. You're restricting
Yes.
the flow.
Absolutely, yeah.
Okay?
So it has to increase in velocity to
Yeah,
keep the same
Bernoulli's
flow rate.
equation will decrease your potential energy, increase your kinetic energy.
Right.
Yes, absolutely.
You're restricting the flow. You have to have the same amount of flow in one side and out the other. So the
Absolutely. Yeah.
velocity has to increase.
Right. Mhm.
The rocket engine is exactly the same thing. The throat is smaller than the combustion chamber.
Mhm.
The rocket engine necks down to a throat. That is the restriction. And that is where you get your acceleration. It's coming out of that and expanding into the nozzle. It accelerates right there. It actually goes supersonic. All right?
Well, I mean, that's just where my thought differs. My thought is that gas is already moving. Just being the fact that it's pressurized. You're not accelerating the gas; it's already moving.
NatureHacker.
You just admitted that when you restrict a water hose,
Yes.
the velocity increases at the exit of the hose.
Right.
I can't tell.
But that somehow can't happen with liquid fuel.
Well, no,
You're
velocity
saying
will-
things can hang on. You're saying things can happen, i.e. gun example, i.e. hose example with you restricting the opening, but yet when we apply those same exact things to a rocket, all of a sudden they can't work. I'm realizing this pattern with you.
I'm not
No,
saying that.
NatureHacker. Let me just tell you what I'm seeing here. You are intentionally making a special case where the stuff that has been shown to work won't work with a rocket simply because it shits on your parade. You're doing everything you can to not accept what has already been demonstrated to you as fact. Why are you doing that to yourself?
Well, let me say why I'm thinking that. Okay, so I totally agree with his thought that the stream will increase in velocity in your water hose, but the thing is that it is a stream, so it is being
Okay,
able
so
to.
you're hung up on the
accelerate.
gas portion. You're
just
hung up
hung
on the gas portion.
Yeah, because the gas will leave
Okay.
in a certain pattern, and the stream leaves in a certain pattern, and one of them's more directly backwards than the other.
Do you have an air compressor at home?
No, not currently.
Do you have one at work? Maybe?
Wait. Here's actually a good one. Do you have a can of deodorant?
No.
Yeah.
But just give me the thought experiment. I'm sure I'll.
Just out of curiosity, what would be the difference between when you have a fluid and a gas and a water liquid are both fluids? They're still fluid systems, right?
Right. Yes.
So if it applies to water, why would it not? Well, it has nothing to do with surface tension. Why would it matter that it works for the water with a back pressure in a pressurized system, right? That it would not work for the exact same thing in a rocket. I don't see where you're drawing.
The same way a liquid has mass, the same way a liquid has mass, the same way the bullet has mass, gas also has mass. If what you agreed works with a bullet, if what you agreed works with liquid, then by default would also work with a gas.
Right, they're both fluid theory.
Why does gas all of a sudden fucking hang up on you?
Let me think. I mean, because basically that
you have listen.
No. Redline. Let him finish his thought.
Okay, if you're not confining the stream of gas, you can't push on it. You can't push on it. That's why a cylinder.
Are confining it within the throat. Within the throat of.
That's like. It's like lifting yourself up by your bootstraps. I mean,
are you?
You have to.
What?
You have to transfer the force outside of the system.
Okay.
Hold on. Everyone, before anyone jumps on that, repeat what you just said, because I have something that might actually point to that. Repeat what you just said.
You have to be able to. You have to be. You have to be transferring a force to something outside of the system in order to get a reaction.
Okay, so it would have to be an open system into a different area. That's fine. Do you remember earlier when I asked you if you understood the concept of infinites and infinite nothingness?
Yes. Mm-hmm.
Do you realize that space would be what you just described into another medium, into something else? You do realize that you've basically made your point without realizing you've made your point.
I don't really see
honestly, I'm not trying to jump down on your throat. I don't want to be an asshole for once. I'm just trying to get you to get that last little step that you're so close to making.
Actually, I think he already made. Here's the thing, NatureHacker. I'm going to give you the benefit of the doubt. I actually think you've already made that connection. You've already made that connection. The thing is, NatureHacker, you have got to be brave enough to accept it. Be brave enough to accept the fact that maybe, just maybe, this world isn't all sunshine, rainbows, and conspiracies where NASA lies to you.
Yeah, I think he's in cognitive dissonance right now. I think it's actually processing this and going, holy shit, these guys are making sense.
You have to make that leap.
Before anyone starts jumping and starting to really fucking rip into him, I just want to say genuinely, you have already made the connection. You just need to admit it, and you just need to understand it.
No, I mean, you have to transfer the force to some body. I mean, it has to something that has to sustain, something that has mass.
Hold on. Why would you need to push it onto something that has mass?
Because in order to have a force, it has to be mass times acceleration.
Hang on.
We had this conversation earlier. Hold on. Redline. I don't want to start the whole fucking changing on the tangents. We had this conversation earlier, and you agreed that when we were going through the whole
that there could be, the thought of perfect
nothing. It is transferring.
What happens if you did away with acceleration? Correct me if I'm wrong. Could you say that force is really just a function of how much mass is going out, the mass flow rate times your actually the velocity of the gas?
That's a thought. That is a thought.
I can just all right, NatureHacker. You admitted that there was going to be recoil on the gun with a solid object as it starts moving in space. You admitted that it would work also with liquid when it starts moving.
It's actually
at that point, the liquid and the bullets are not touching anything. They're simply moving, which is causing the recoil. Not once during that entire explanation did that bullet hit a wall. Did it bounce off a wall? Not once did the liquid hit a wall and bounce off the wall. And I think you would at least agree that just like metal, a solid, liquid, a liquid, and a gas, all three of them have mass. What applies to the first two, per your admission, would, as a consequence, apply to the third. And what you need to do is make that final jump and accept that fact. There is no special case here.
It's actually poignant to point out, NatureHacker, earlier when we were making the example of the gun in space, we were not the ones that said, and you will move. You were the first one to say, you will fire it and you will travel through space.
Yes.
But the person holding, the fact that you realize that makes everything that followed that you agreed and understood and can figure out.
Right. Just change. If you have atoms going out of that rocket, it's going to push it just like the bullet will, man.
Exactly.
You're there. You're there, dude. You're there. Just accept reality.
No,
you have actually come full circle, but you have to admit it. You have given.
What happens? The difference between a liquid and a solid.
Hold on. Nature.
Yeah.
You have given your hypothesis. Initially, you gave your hypothesis. You found out your hypothesis was incorrect. We helped provide you with a secondary hypothesis. We then took you through it step by step, and you agreed every step of the way. We are now in the conclusion form of this scientific understanding. You just need to admit that you made a mistake the first time, or not even that you made a mistake the first time, that you've learned something new or you've realized something new. You have to realize that you were actually wrong.
At this point, we're in the helping stage and not just shitting on you stage. So here's the thing, NatureHacker, I will think a lot more of you if you can just admit this mistake. Because what Angry Pumpkin is saying is absolutely right. We are in the conclusion stage. You have already connected all the dots. And now what you need to do is, like, we've already connected the dot. That recoil happens when the bullet starts moving inside the chamber. And just like the mass with the bullet, liquid is also mass and also gas is a mass. So what happens to the first two? What, as a consequence, happened to the third? You connected all of those dots yourself. So,
so the
all
difference
you need to do right now, is just admit that you have connected those dots.
No.
Okay, wait.
I want you. I need something to get through. Up until we mentioned rockets, when you were talking about pressure, you agreed it was already there. But now, because it's rockets, you don't want to admit that, and it is honestly frustrating because you have figured it out, pieced it together. You have connected all the dots, but for some
putting
reason,
a lot of words in my mouth.
No, I'm not
letting me talk.
I'm not trying to put words in your mouth. I'm trying to actually explain one very simple thing. What we've been doing this entire time is a dot-to-dot picture diagram of this entire thing, and you've connected every single one of the dots, but you don't want to step back and see what it looks like.
Do yourself a favor and actually rewatch this thing. And you'll see that you're actually agreeing all the way until someone mentions the word rocket, and all of a sudden it's impossible.
So, NatureHacker, what do you think? Where are you hung up? I'm having trouble understanding because you keep going back to pressure.
Right. Yeah. So that's the difference, is that you don't just have the gas moving backwards in the chamber. You have a pressure that's throughout the entire chamber. That's gas molecules going in every direction. So you have
and they can only escape in one direction.
Net force.
Yeah, but they can only get out. They can't expand
forward
in any direction except down the barrel of the gun. Right?
Right. But as long as you have a pressure, that means that there's gas going every direction in there.
Nature, can you answer an honest question, man? I want to ask some questions sincerely.
I thought the barrel restricted that, and that was the reason we said barrel. And see, you already agreed that it will cause a recoil because you had to contend with that barrel. All right, whether it be a short barrel, long barrel, doesn't fucking matter. The fact is that something is guiding it, and that guide, it's going in one direction. And since it starts inside the chamber, and inside the chamber it can only go in one direction, therefore, what do you get? You already connected these dots. Then we moved on to rocket. But just like what Housesoy said, and Housesoy is absolutely right on this one, as soon as the word rocket comes up, all of a sudden it can't work.
Right, I want to go back. He mentioned gas, right? And it exerts force in all directions. The problem is, I think he's missing the key point, which is what Pumpkin tried to point out by using the fire extinguisher. The pressure from one direction is constant, so the gas cannot expand backwards in on itself. It will only ever escape the opposite direction of the origin of the gas.
Right.
Right, and even if you want to, like, to build on what Halsoy just said, if you want to consider remember at the very start where I mentioned, like, an astronaut piercing his oxygen tank?
Mm-hmm.
Remember the way that made absolutely no sense and it was completely stupid? There's a reason I actually pointed that out, to see if you realized, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because a rocket's engine, it's not just fuel, space. There's a boost, or not a booster, there's a cone on the end, there's everything so that it expands.
Nozzle.
Yeah, it goes through a nozzle, then it expands down this cone, everything like that. Right. That is so that it's not just wasting and flying off in all random directions. It has to go in one general direction, even if you don't want to say it's going straight down, which I can understand when you're looking at the, I don't want to say the exhaust fumes because it makes it sound like a car, but when you see the actual trail, it sort of splits out. But it's never pointing back up. It doesn't point back up right around the rocket. Like
well, you can kind of, when you know what to look for, you look at some of...
No. It just doesn't. It just plain doesn't.
Shut up. I am trying to walk him through this yet again. I'm saying when it's in flight, when it's in motion.
Mm-hmm.
It's not turn. The fuel isn't just, or the gas isn't just immediately turning around and going ahead of the rocket. It's always pushing back. It's always
but here's the thing.
One continuous direction.
I just want to. Okay, but let me just give you something to take a look at. Like in space, in orbit, you can see, SpaceX's footage in orbit. You see the nozzle and you see the gas coming out. I mean, if you look at it pretty closely, some of it might be coming forwards.
No.
You can kind of see
no.
Just take a look.
No.
Hold on. Before everyone starts jumping in and just shouting no, would you say, even if one particle in, I'll make it a nice generous one, one particle in 100 was going the opposite direction, but the other 99 were going back out. I'm trying to think of a way to describe it. If you're looking straight up and straight down, 99 of the particles are going that way, but one particle goes up. Would you not agree that you have it? 99% of it is going straight up, or 99% of it is going to push down, sending you up, right?
Yeah, sure.
Okay, so I'm willing to admit no system is perfect. Nothing works without any energy loss at all. There's no such thing as a perfect system. There's always going to be a little bit where something goes the different way. That's why rather than just having it a straight shot cone, it's an actual cone, so that they mitigate as much of that as possible.
Pumpkin. Also, just to mention what Rocketman and I believe Steve said earlier as well, the energy that you create motion with happens before you actually see the plume anyway.
Exactly, and so once again, the moment you start talking about which direction you see the gas, all right, NatureHacker, as soon as you can see it on the SpaceX footage,
it's already done its job.
It's already done its job.
Exactly.
So
like,
again,
here's
talking
a better
about
example.
Visible gas is irrelevant.
Here's the perfect example. By the time the bullet leaves the end of the barrel of the gun, it's already pushed out as much as it can get.
Let me clarify something on that. I've been sitting on for a while.
But that's a different way.
The recoil on a
gun. But it's not different. By the time you see, or not even the bullet, by the time you see the actual flare of the barrel of the gun, the flash, by the time you've seen that, it's done all of its work. That's what we're saying with the gas.
To really give a good parallel, we need to have a gun with no bullet in it.
Okay, we get that. Hang on.
Hold on.
Everyone shut the fuck up for a second.
Red, I'm so fucking close. That's why I keep trying to get it.
Well, I'm close now. This is my kind of thing. Shut the fuck up. All right. in the example we gave, NatureHacker, we did that. We went from a bullet to a liquid bullet to a gas bullet. You agreed all three had mass, correct?
Well, of course, but I'm just
Okay,
saying
hang
that
on.
gas
No.
doesn't move the same way.
Then of course, if you have a kilo of solid matter, a kilo of liquid matter, and a kilo of gaseous matter, which one weighs more?
It's the same, but
There
what I'm saying
you go.
is that
Now let's hang on.
the difference is being able to hold itself together.
Hang on. If you accelerate that kilo of solid matter out a gun barrel, you get recoil. You agreed with this. If you accelerate that liquid matter out of a gun barrel, you get recoil. I.e., by a consequence of that, it will also happen with the gaseous matter. Correct?
Well, if the gaseous matter is contained in some type of, like a ball of gas, sure.
Kind of like a choke nozzle.
Wait.
Did you just say you need a balloon for it to work?
No, wait.
So you need to have
I think
the gas.
I think he's saying something that okay, let me try something here. If I have a bullet, just a regular bullet, piece of lead and powder.
Right.
All right, I'm going to have recoil. If I take that same bullet with just a blank, that same bullet with no lead on it.
Right.
And it's just a blank. All right, so I've just got gas going down the barrel. I will have much less recoil because I'm not accelerating the mass of that lead.
And that's what I'm saying.
Okay.
Yeah, exactly.
All right. Now, if I take a bigger bullet.
Right.
A bigger bullet.
Yes.
It is just gas, just powder.
Okay.
It has the same weight as the lead mass.
Mm-hmm.
And I shoot that. Will I get the same recoil?
If it's if the gas is contained.
No. A blank.
A blank. We take the bullet out.
I'm talking about, but the overall mass, that you are accelerating and ejecting out the end of that barrel is the same. It's just what form that mass is in. It's not a solid.
See, the difference, though, is that the bullet, as soon as the bullet starts moving, it's no longer a part of the system. It's an external body.
Once it's out of the barrel.
No, once it starts moving relative to the gun.
No. I've been sitting on this for 30 minutes. A recoil on a gun does not have gas or the lead bullet actually exits the barrel. Reason why is because the system lost mass. You can look up slow motion YouTube videos on this all day long. They will all show that recoil does not start until something leaves the barrel.
Well, that's the difference. I mean, that's not true. That's not true. It starts as soon as the bullet starts moving relative to it.
No, look it up on YouTube. Every video you see with slow motion, you will not see recoil happen until the gas or the bullet leaves the barrel.
If the recoil happened before, you get shit.
Okay, yes. Wait, before we continue, there's two important things we need to take away. Nature just said that's not true. There's video evidence of it.
Well, let's take a look. Yeah.
Well,
I haven't looked at that yet.
Hold on.
What Nature's saying was true. How would you have a sniper rifle?
Steve?
I was actually going to bring that up next because I have fired a Barrett and I fired a Barrett blank. And I tell you what, a Barrett blank has just as much recoil, if not more, than any handgun you have that has a full metal jacket casing. It's the amount of mass that you're shooting. It doesn't matter if it's gas, solid, liquid. It don't matter as long as it's mass.
So you're saying shooting a blank is the same recoil as shooting a bullet?
As long as the blank has the same amount of mass as a full loaded bullet.
Right,
yeah, but if you get recoil as soon as it starts, the reaction starts. How are you ever going to aim straight?
It's so fast that you don't notice.
No. Nature, if you've ever seen one of the really, really long artillery pieces that have been made in the world, I'm talking the Gustav gun. Shit like that. I would need to explain the Gustav gun. It's basically a giant fucking cannon. That is the easiest way to explain it. Right?
There you go.
No. Please, let me explain this. I'm not going to start swearing or flying off the handle. I'm trying to explain. Even then, until the shell leaves the end, no recoil. as soon as it does, that thing will jump like a motherfucker. Okay?
Right. Let me clarify.
Deadline, I haven't made the second point. Now, what you were saying earlier was the gas is going to expand and it's going to do all this and blah-de-blah. It's going to go everywhere. At that stage, when the gas has left completely, when it's done, that's when the recoil is going to hit. By the time you see the gas, the recoil hits. Or the recoil has hit, should I say. So that's the point. It doesn't matter if you're firing liquid. It doesn't matter if you're firing lead. And it doesn't matter if you're firing gas. It's still got mass, and when it leaves, it's still going to have recoil or reverb or whatever you want to call it, okay?
If you steal the end of it, would you have recoil?
No, you would not.
Okay, so that would be the difference between a closed system and an open one.
Right.
And for
There you go.
And for the record, when I said that the recoil happens when it's inside, when it starts to move, I meant when it starts moving outside.
Yeah.
No,
he was twisting it.
I got a question. Do you think
I think it's important. Hold on. I think it's important I be a little bit honest so that nature doesn't think I'm trying to lord over him with my superior knowledge. Genuinely, I used to have it in my head as soon as that expansion started, that was when recoil hit. It's not until quite recently that this very hangout that I realized it wasn't until the bullet moved. I'm thinking on it. I was actually of your opinion that, hey, maybe it's just really, really fast. And then I started typing away like a fucking little Trojan, and yeah.
Fucking side chat.
Yeah. So
I'm going to disagree with you guys.
Yeah. So hang on. Let me. I'm kind of confused on this. The bullet is going to start moving inside the chamber. Now the thing is that we have kind of like this like the fucking guns, and I fired guns too as well, and the bullet is going to start moving and eventually it will exit the chamber, yes. But the bullet starting to move inside the chamber, eventually it's going to start exiting out at a very high velocity. The moment it starts moving to get out, it's going to start pushing back right then and there, correct?
Oh no, what I was meaning by the recoil is...
Really, Sean?
No, because you have that equal and opposite reaction. The gas is pushing the bullet, but it's also pushing back on your hands. It nullifies the force until the bullet leaves the chamber.
Yeah.
Well, the bullet's
which leaves you with a net force backwards because you lose mass forward.
Well, the thing is that the bullet going forward, because the force of the bullet going forward at that particular moment in time is pushing back on what though?
Hey, well, can I weigh in on this?
Go ahead, Rocket Man.
I want to say recoil will start as soon as that bullet starts, but here's what you're all, I think, overlooking is that gun has inertia, and that gun is not going to move right away. It's got to overcome inertia, and that gun will start to overcome inertia the minute that bullet starts to move. There's an opposite reaction back up the barrel of that gun, and that bullet gets out of there pretty darn quick, and by that time you have overcome inertia, and that thing is moving quick, so it will start moving right away.
Yeah, I agree with Ian on that one. When you think about it, that makes a lot more sense.
Oh, yes! In your face! Yeah!
Why do you need to fucking science us, you bastard?
Okay.
See what happens when you have to
here.
I was confused. So like, wait a minute, did I just go back on because whatever.
Because I was under the impression that if the gas seal is 100% tight, the gas expands in both directions at the same rate.
It's kind of like if you were to seal the end of the barrel. Well, actually, if you seal the end of the barrel, the whole thing's going to explode.
Because I was like, I said the bullet leaves the chamber.
Well,
but I was like, wait a minute.
I'm talking about when you seat the bullet, obviously, not tight in both ends.
Yeah, I got to step away for just a second.
Okay.
Yeah, I was like, wait a minute, no, that's not what I said. I actually said this.
It would start the recoil, but again, when it leaves, that's where you're really going to notice it. Though.
All right,
Yeah,
to the people
the reason you're
watching
gonna
in
notice
the live stream, I got temporarily confused there. My apologies.
Yeah,
But, I mean,
I tripped over myself there.
Can we ask Nate?
The reason that happens is you have two things going on. The mass of the bullet has completely left. Then you're going to have all the gas, and then you're going to have the fact that if it's a handgun, rifle, whatever, you're not holding it right behind the actual bullet, right behind the actual chamber. You're holding it a little bit down so that it
Going
flicks.
back to Rocket though, Pumpkin, get back on your point about when we start applying this to rockets.
Yeah. So when we start applying this to rockets, it doesn't matter if you're going to be firing off lead. It doesn't matter if you're going to be firing off water or if you're going to be firing off oxygen or whichever chemicals make up rocket fuel. Mass has mass, no matter what type of mass it is, strangely enough. So yeah, you need to realize that when it's actually leaving, by the time you've seen it leaving, it's done its fucking job. And it wouldn't matter if it's not going to matter if the gas is flying off in every different direction. It's going to be hitting the side of it. It's going to be going off out the back of it. It's all funneled out the back so that it doesn't just start whipping around the front and causing the whole thing to spin out.
So the work is being done before the gas leaves. Just like the work is being done before the bullet leaves, the work is being done before the liquid leaves, gas, whatever. So everything ties in together because all three states of matter are still matter by definition. So all three states, by definition, have mass. The moment you start accelerating that mass, you just apply Newton's laws, equal, opposite, reaction. NatureHacker, do you understand finally?
I understand what you're saying, but I disagree that gas is the same.
Oh,
the reason I disagree gas is the same
Hold on.
is because it's a pressure until it leaves. It's just a pressure. Pressure is pushing in all directions. The gas isn't just shooting back. The gas is a pressure, and it's just a pressure pushing in all directions until it leaves. So it's an opposite of a bullet example. It only does
when
work
it leaves,
once
it's already done its job.
Actually, no, I think I understand what you're trying to get at.
Hang on, let's read off nature. Imagine an oxygen tank, those big green oxygen tanks, right? You know, like for saline that you're using. You know what I'm talking about? Okay. Yeah. Okay. And I stick that in a tube, and I'm going to point it in a direction. Let's say 45 degree, and I cut that mother, off at the bottom. Just hit it with a hammer. It's going to go shooting out, correct?
Yeah.
Why would that be different on the moon?
Well, it wouldn't be different on the moon. I mean, it's basically the cylinder.
Oh, there you go.
Same thing. Let me see if I'm understanding. You put the cylinder in a tube, right, like a barrel kind of thing, and then you chop it off.
It's for visualization. You don't even need that. If you ground, hit it. What happens? It's going to go shooting off, right?
Well, I mean, you would have to be in a tube to go shooting off.
No, you wouldn't. Hang on. If I have the oxygen tank and I lay it down, right, so it's orthogonal to the ground, and I hit that damn thing, and I break the end off, it's going to go shooting off, correct?
On Earth, yeah, but what I'm saying is in space it wouldn't.
No. Why on the moon?
Yeah, on the moon, same.
Why would it not do that on the moon? Give us a really good reason why it wouldn't do that on the moon. Because there isn't. The exact same thing on the moon.
Because the gas it's not confined to push in one direction. It will go out in all directions.
Come on, admit it. It's going to do the exact same thing on the moon, and you know it.
No, I mean, if you had it in a tube, it would, because then it's confining the gas.
Actually, hold on just a second. Nature, what is the rocket's length? The part where all of that gas goes. What is that? That's a big fucking tube, isn't it?
Well, it's a tube, and best part is that it's a tube with a choke nozzle.
Yeah.
And so you just admitted it would work on the moon as long as you had a tube. Now guess what? By that admission, you just admitted that rockets work. If you want to accept that you admitted that, then good for you. You actually have some intellectual honesty there. But if you want to double back on your words, you go right the fuck ahead, because this section right here, just this section alone, is going up on my channel. The full unedited, unedited The full unedited Hangout is going to be posted on the Redline V8 channel. So it will be posted there. But
so you're saying
this part right
live?
Here,
where is this live?
Hold on.
Live on Red's Rhetoric?
It's live, but the thing is that this is going to be re-uploaded on the Redline V8 channel. That part right there, though, that's a highlight. That is a highlight of you literally admitting that rockets work.
Dude, that's not fair,
dude.
That is not fair.
There are 2 points I want to make. What Redline is saying is this will be kept here, or I'm not sure if he's saying this part's going to be kept here or go on his other channel as a highlight. But in the link of the description, it will have the full, big, unedited shebang. And what you were saying is this live? Yes, it's fucking live. It's right up in the top corner. And
there's actually people chatting in the live chat right now, and there's 70 people watching this as we speak. NatureHacker.
Yep.
All right. Cool.
Yep. And if you want proof of that, there's the link to the watch link so that you can see the comments yourself. All of them are saying that you're a fucking idiot.
All right.
Wait, does this mean I don't have to give you a hand job now? Did I redeem myself? You know, was it a minute?
No. You had 2 fucking hours and you weren't able to shut this guy up. So now it's 2 hand jobs.
Considering the fact that I had to do most of this and I had to not be a complete cunt.
So what
someone buy that man a beer or
you need a bottle of Jack Daniels.
Give your hand.
I think we all earned something tonight. I mean, we all learned something too.
I think before we start patting each other on the back and giving out hand jobs, Nature, will you please just admit with some intellectual honesty that your opinion has changed, that you've received new knowledge, and that you have admitted for nearly every step of the... Actually, no, not for nearly, for every single step of this entire long fucking journey.
Well, I'm sure I have learned some things. I mean, I got a better appreciation for, the commonly accepted understanding of joule-free expansion at this point, like the wiki article, for example.
Wait, are we still going back to joule-free expansion?
No, we're not going back to that.
Something. I'm saying I did learn something.
Okay, all right, hang on, NatureHacker. But the most important thing that you have to have learned, the most important thing you need to take away from this, because after you admit to learning that, we can all pat each other on the back and have a beer, and then I can get my hand job. The thing is that there's one more thing we need to discuss.
Sure, what's that?
But we'll discuss that after we make
SpaceX, huh?
We're gonna make our breakthrough first. The thing is that with this breakthrough, everyone see, look, Supply 555 just commented, come on, say it, just suck it up, damn it. Everyone is begging you to make this.
No. I just stuck up for you.
So he stuck up for you, Nature. So are you going to be intellectually honest and just admit that rockets probably do work?
Yes. Supply 55 said, don't fuck with him. He was bad, but not as bad as some others.
Well, I look into a lot of conspiracies, and I always hope I'm wrong. Because it's nicer if I'm wrong.
The good news is, Nature, you just admitted that you were, but let's not frame it in the way that you were wrong. Let's frame it this way. Nature, do you now understand that rockets work because of new knowledge that you simply were not aware of before? Now that you have received it, you have been intellectually honest in accepting the fact that rockets work in space. Let's frame it that way.
Okay, Nature.
Unfortunately, no. I mean, I still have the same
Nature,
idea.
Please. I want to try and phrase it in even a nicer way. Will you please admit, and I'm going to take this by degrees, and I would like you to answer at the intervals, would you agree you've learned new things? Yes or no?
Yes, I have.
Would you agree that you've learned new things about how the rockets would work? Yes?
No. I mean, I've gained a new appreciation for my theory, but...
No, I'm trying to be the nice guy, but dear fuck help me, if you start talking over the top of me, I will lose my shit. All I'm trying to say is, every step of the way you have received new information, you have been a little fucking trooper, and I genuinely almost don't hate you for this. I hate everyone, so don't think yourself too highly. But you have received new knowledge, you've thought about it, you've come to an answer and you've said, yep, that would make sense, that would make sense, that would make, yep, that's right. Oh, I thought, there has been a few times where you said, oh, I thought the other way, or I thought something else, I'll change my mind, or etc., etc. You've learned something new, particularly when Rocketman was speaking, which, yay for him. You have taken the strides to realize, bit by bit, pieces of information. Will you finally, you've connected all of the dots, will you please take that step back and see the full picture you've drawn yourself?
Heido says, please. MTJ says, do it, fucker. Supply says, oh my god, just do it. Everyone's cheering for Freeman to make this breakthrough. You have
go Nature.
Come on, Nature. You can honestly, Nature. You have all the dots. Just the moment you admit it, you're gonna feel so much better because now you know something. Just make the jump because it's a very small jump at this point. It's a step. It's a step at this point. The crack is now so small, it's insignificant. You just need to step over it.
If Jamal,
I agree. It's such a small thing. I mean, you guys could step over my way too. I mean, it's just such
please, no, please. Hold on, before anyone starts up, the fact that I've had to be the nice guy the entire time has really grated on me. So for a brief moment, Nature, you're gonna see exactly the kind of person I am. If you ever fucking dare to say that we can just simply step over to your side, you are an ignorant, self-fucking-centered piece of shit. Every single fucking point we have...
I mean, are you being a hypocrite right now? Because that's exactly what you said to me.
Every single step we have made on this long, arduous journey, you have realized we were right, you were wrong. We have explained it piece by singular fucking piece. So just shut the fuck up, step the fuck back, and realize that you were wrong when you started, you insignificant cunt.
No,
that's the angry pumpkin I like.
I agree with a lot of what you're saying, but that's
you agree with everything we're saying, Nature.
Everything.
That's being consistent. If you look at all of my other videos.
NatureHacker, you have on accident admitted that rockets work in space more than once in this conversation.
More than one time have you, Nature. Now, I got to ask you a question, Nature. Do you really hate the conspiratorial thing of NASA so much that you're willing to overlook actual physics? I mean, to be honest here, is it the physics that getting you? Because it doesn't sound like it. I think you actually got a conceptualization of what we're talking about.
I understand the physics.
I think he understands it. Let me give you guys my hypothesis, and then you guys can chime in. Here's what I honestly think. NatureHacker knows that rockets work in space. Yeah. He's just being a dishonest little cunt. Steve, what say you? No. What say you, Steve?
I have to agree with you. I think, I talked to Nature just now for like 2 hours. I think he does understand physics to some degree, of course. And I think that he knows, based upon his coursework and what we told him, he knows, and he's actually admitted it more than one occasion in this very hangout that rockets work. I don't know what his grief is with NASA. I don't know what his conspiratorial nature is. I don't know if he's a flat earther, young earther, blue earther, white earther. I have no freaking idea what that is. But I can just tell you that I think it's more of an issue that for some reason he has something against NASA than it is the physics and the science behind rocket science.
Angry Pumpkin, what say you? Do you agree with me or?
Let me put it this way. When this started, I thought you were ignorant. When we continued, I thought you were willfully ignorant. When we continued further, I thought you were being dishonest. Then, for a brief, shining fucking moment, I thought you were getting it. I thought you were willing to take that final step and realize, maybe not that you were completely wrong, but that you just didn't think it through completely. That you had to take extra steps and move along the journey. But now, the way you keep saying, no, I was still right the entire time, and no, I definitely didn't agree to this, and I didn't agree to that. You were being a dishonest little shit. You need to fucking wake up and realize the world doesn't spin the way you want it to.
Housewife, what say you? Do you agree with me, or you want to add your own?
I'm pretty sure I agree with Pumpkin saying that, or no, not Pumpkin, Steve.
All right, perfect. Okay. Rocket Man, what say you?
I'm going to go against the grain here.
Heathen.
Cast him out. Just kidding.
NatureHacker, you I think you understand the physics, But I think, and I don't, I hope you realize that rockets don't obey a different set of physics. They work exactly the same way. And mass is mass, solid, liquid, or gas. You don't lose mass when you convert from a liquid to a gas. You just change volume. But the mass stays the same. And if you ever go back and look at a rocket and look at the dry weight versus the wet weight, you will notice that it is 90-something% liquid. And all that liquid is converted to gas. It's a lot of weight, a lot of mass. I think the problem you're having is you don't want to go, or you're uncomfortable stating here now for the record in all prosperity that you may be wrong. Because if it happens here, it's recorded, and I think that's probably keeping you from stating such. And I think if you go off and you look at it and you think about it, you'll come to the realization later that you were mistaken.
Sean, what say you?
Honest opinion, I think he's a disingenuous fuck that, he's just here for the, he's all hung up on, is this going to be live? I mean, we've had him in a hangout before. We've gone over all this. He's done the same thing. He's agreed to every point, but as soon as rockets are mentioned, oh, no, it's not possible for rockets.
All right.
I think he's just here to try to get publicity because that's why he's so concerned about it being live.
No, he's going to get publicity for this.
Oh,
yeah,
he wanted to be public, that's all.
Now, moving on though, because all right, so we've all come to the conclusion about you. I think you're a disingenuous little shit, and we'll leave it at that. You did post one video though, telling your viewers that the rocket coming down during its first burn was a fucking flare.
Right.
What the actual fuck?
I know, it's pretty crazy, but
yeah, it's pretty crazy considering
no,
how
that's not crazy. That's
I
stupid.
do want to say one thing. Red, I will take down the video of me calling you out. I will take that down as soon as we're done here.
Just for the record, I posted a link to a picture of my Skype chat where I got the link, and it's fucking identical to the one you have on your screenshot. So,
okay.
Yeah, you got the right link, you just clicked the wrong one or some bullshit.
All right, well...
Okay, wait. In all fairness, I'm going to stick up for nature a little bit right here, because in the last 2 or 3 days, people have clicked the same link and ended up in a entirely different hangout when nobody was in it. This happened to Jade trying to get into my hangout a couple times.
Really?
Yeah.
So then Google fucked up.
Yeah, it might just be Google bullshit.
Google is messing up the last couple of days. What's happening is people are cutting and pasting the Google title bar off the link off the top, right? That's no good. For some reason, the only one that has to work is if you go to add person, there's a little window that comes up, and there's another hangout in there that says cut paste. This link. That link is not the same as the link in the title bar. That's the link that you need to put on your Google Plus feed, because I found out the hard way when half the people could get in and the other half were ending up in some other freaking hangout the last couple of days.
Yeah, but I posted both.
But it was hell in a handbasket to figure that out. So
I posted both though.
Yeah, I agree. But what happened was he might have some reason either clicked the original one, or for some reason Google just messed up. I'm going to give him the benefit of the doubt on this one. Well, although I'm not going to give him the benefit of the doubt that he literally right now is being disingenuous because he knows that we're right.
Let me move on to the main point. All right, let me just move on. NatureHacker, in your video, you showed the first burn. Why didn't you show the second? Because
I wanted to focus on that. I mean, I'm going to probably make a bigger video more.
No. Why did you? If your goal is to analyze my video, which I'm more than happy to do. Hell, I'll even give you the raw fucking footage. The thing is that you only showed one part. And that was when it was doing its initial yaw burn, where it pushes itself in the general direction it needs to go at first, and then it does its final burn where it slows itself down to a complete stop. All right, you're saying that is a flare. What analysis did you do? How did you come to the conclusion that was a flare?
Well, I mean, basically, all I did was I remember seeing that in your video of the end of that first burn and how it just kind of petered out, and on all the other videos,
rockets turn off, dude. You do realize that the Falcon 9's engine can turn off and on?
Sure. But the thing is that I saw that it seemed weird to me, but I didn't think much of it. But then later on, I'm just like, huh, all of the other videos, I was looking at other videos, they all just are so far out that you can't really see, it just turns off. But on yours, you can kind of see how it goes out. And
Okay,
it looked
but
to me like there was
nature.
no rocket there, and it was just a little flare petering out.
No, that
Nature-
was a rocket.
With Red, one little thing. Nature would, if you said that you saw this and then you thought, hey, that was a little bit strange because all of these other ones weren't so focused. I'm assuming that Redline in his video showed both burning, so burn, stop, burn, correct?
Burn, stop, burn, sure.
Yeah. How many flares do you know that burn, stop, and then burn again?
Well, absolutely none. I mean, it would be a different flare.
Isn't that strange that it's absolutely none?
But it's guaranteed a flare.
Turned around and said, oh, it must still be a flare anyway.
NatureHacker, I wanted to shove this specific point up your ass, and I'm gonna do what I normally do at this point. I'm gonna go full Red's rhetoric and not only shove it up your ass, but turn the facts sideways. You understand me? Let's look at this. Let's look at this fact frame by frame. What you're seeing here. Hang on. What you're seeing here is my video editor. This is the raw, unedited clip from Sean's launch. All right.
All right.
This is the flare that you're looking at. Okay.
Right.
I'm gonna make the screen really fucking big so you can see that. Oh, that's beautiful, isn't it?
Nice. Yeah.
Let's take it frame by frame. Okay.
Okay.
Now keep in mind this is filmed by me. You would hang on. First, would you agree that this is my video?
Absolutely.
Good. So now that we have that out of the way,
I think it's awesome, and I think that in the future you should work into getting like a telescope attachment, things like that. That would be awesome.
I have a P900 with 83 times optical zoom. You want me to have more than that? Then you fucking pay for it.
To be fair, if
you have a telescope,
more optical zoom, you would need to have tracking software, and tracking software for an unpredictable body like that would be very hard to come by.
All right. Moving on.
Good point.
Moving on, though. All right. So what you're gonna do is you're gonna see it coming out. What's this outline in the smoke? Is that a body of a rocket? By God, I think it is. Holy shit! Holy fuck! Hey, question, NatureHacker. How many flares do you know that are this fucking long?
I just want to say I don't like this smirky undertone in the laugh.
Look at that.
Just want to put that on record.
Yeah, you can see the outline of the after. There it is, really nice. In fact, let me go ahead and go into video effects. Let's go to brightness and contrast. Let's add a default to that. Let's increase this shit by like a lot. So let's increase the brightness. Oh, you can see it really well there.
Look at that contrast.
Let's increase the contrast. Holy fuck!
Yeah, dude.
Hey, NatureHacker, some flare, huh?
That's awesome.
Would this also be the magical flare that stops and starts again?
That stops and starts. Looks. Oh my god, NatureHacker. Would you agree you were debunked there too?
No.
You're a fucking idiot.
You're not.
I want you to know that. You're a fucking idiot. You're a liar. You're a dishonest cunt, really. You can clearly see the fucking body of the rocket itself right there
I see
the
smoke.
video that you showed.
Okay, Nature, he's not pointing at the smoke. He's pointing at the big black thing in the smoke.
See that? Right there?
I don't see it. I mean, maybe I'll look at this closer, but
hang on.
Right now I don't see anything.
You don't.
Okay,
you don't
if
see.
you start
you don't
increasing.
see
I see a shadow, possibly.
A shadow?
Okay, what kind of shadow do you know is going to be shooting straight up?
Look at that. That right there is the body of the first stage, and that right there is the source of the fire, which is at the bottom of the stage. The fucking rocket, douchebag. It's right there.
All right,
and
well,
this is
you say so. I don't know.
This is in the video that you showed, the one that you said is a fucking flare. That is not a flare, jackass. You can see the body of the rocket right there.
Wait, I think it's
how
important
dishonest
that
are you going to be today?
Show the stop-start magical flare. Let's show it going, then stopping, then going again. Let's make that nice and clear.
Okay, so let's go ahead and here's the thing right here. So let's play it in there. There's where it goes out. So there it is in full brightness and whatnot, and there's where it ends up right there. So now let's go again. This is all one clip, so I'm going to skip ahead. Hang on. Just playing now. Restarts right here. There it is, right there. Well, look at that. It started up again.
Go back to just before, or just when it starts, because I think you can actually make out the rocket fairly clearly then.
You won't be able to, because I get onto it just as it
No, I mean there's a couple of frames where at least to me, it looked like there might actually be a rocket body that you can see. Just go.
Red, don't you have one that's in daylight or lighter conditions?
It's more for this particular. See? Oh yeah.
Go back up a couple of frames. Back up a couple of frames. You can see you can actually make out the landing legs there.
That's weird. What is that?
Gee,
it's a rocket.
let me fast forward to this part right here, because I think we can actually make some adjustments and enhance in certain ways to actually see some things. All right, so let me bring this up. Let me turn down.
Right, you're gonna have a bitch of a time.
Oh, I know. So let's decrease the brightness like a lot. Let's increase the contrast like a lot. So, oh look, the landing legs. You can actually see the landing legs fold down.
Make the screen bigger.
Oh, I can tell. You can see. You can make them out on either side. Actually,
let me make the screen as big as
my screen's little. If you could.
Sure as shit, you can see them.
All right, hang on. So that's as big as this. Actually, I can
awesome.
There,
this
right
is awesome
there.
analysis, though. I like this.
Yeah,
okay,
cool.
so
this is what you should have done in the first place.
Yeah, instead of talking out of your fucking ass. So
this is how you actually analyze footage.
Well, I don't have the capabilities to do this. I don't have the.
Oh, hang on.
Okay,
if you don't have the capability of doing it, then why the fuck are you doing it?
Yeah, that's kind of pretty pitiful to try to do analysis when you don't even have the right equipment to do it.
Oh, you don't have to zoom in.
Dude, you have just admitted right then and there to talking out of your ass.
No, wait. This is a point that I keep needing to bring up. If you're gonna say that, oh, you don't need the tools to do the analysis, amateur analysis, whatever, whoop-de-doo-dah. If you're gonna come away with a claim that it's a flare, maybe you should make sure it looks like a fucking flare that doesn't stop, start, big fuck off shiny rocket with landing gears.
Yeah, I mean, you can see the landing gear on that. I mean, it's plain as day, dude. That is not a freaking flare.
There's something at the top there, that's for sure.
Landing gear folds down. I can actually see the body of the rocket. I don't know how well this is coming through on the feed.
Take a screenshot of that.
But right here.
You can barely make out the body of the rocket, dude.
A screenshot of that. That's a good picture.
Very hard.
I will say.
And here, and you can actually see. You can actually see the pattern in the actual stage itself.
Right, Redline, I'm going to say right now, with the way that Google compresses video, it's for me,
hard
at least,
for us.
not coming through spectacular.
Yeah, it's not. I can make it out, but it's really not clear.
I'm on a tablet. I'm on a tablet, and I can actually see a slight. Where he's pointing, you can actually look at the rocket. See, now it's lost. Now it's gone.
Yeah.
Now you can see it again.
Oh yeah.
I'm on a tablet, and I'm looking very closely.
Oh no!
Go back 2 more frames.
You can definitely see the landing gear though, right there.
Right here.
Actually, go forward a couple of frames more.
All right, 1 frame.
Yeah, go 1 more. There's like 1 frame where the actual rocket body is very visible. Go 1 more. 1 more. You can see it there, but I think in the next one, you can make it out there as well.
No,
at least
pretty much almost gone.
Well, how about let me ask you this question: how easy was it to see the rocket when it launched, though? It was so easy.
That's because it was just starting up.
It should be the same, I would think.
No.
If you're going to use the argument,
are we really going to move the goalpost there much? I mean,
no,
if anyone's going
I just want to kill this goalpost immediately. When it's going up, the plume is always behind. Now it's actually falling inside its own plume.
Well, and they don't take off and land at the same place.
Yeah.
All right, they take off on one of the northern launch pads.
This
which is much closer to Red, and where the landing pad is much further south down the Cape, further away from Red.
Okay.
Not to mention all the fucking
Hang on.
While
This is the liftoff. This is the liftoff. This is it just starting up.
That's really awesome right there. So
This
Nate,
is it starting up, but notice how it's accelerating away from its own plume. In fact, you can see the ripples inside the cloud itself. Look at that.
So don't forget that the rocket might be full of soot when it lands.
But now that's gotten up. It's very hard to see the actual rocket body itself.
Right, but I think with like normal condition, like before you did all of the changes to it, I think you could see it a lot easier.
All right, I can zero all the changes. All right, so let's zero out the brightness, zero out the contrast, zero out the center. That's stock. That's stock footage right there.
Okay, so that's it's not much. Yeah.
So let's play it at stock brightness, stock contrast center, stock everything. This is the actual footage that you see, and you can actually see this is in slow motion right now. You can see that once it gets up to here, the rocket is hardly visible. The reason why it's visible down here is because, one, the rocket is just starting. Two, light is actually being refracted back up at the rocket.
Reflected,
reflected. But now that you're up here, you don't have that. And
I'll give you that. Yeah,
it kind of overdoes. But look what's happening over here. What's happening over here on this part is also happening over here. Hang on, let me find it. At this part. It's further away from me, dude.
Something I want to quickly ask, Rocketman, could you do me a massive favor on if you could like build me a rocket, preferably with a nuclear payload? I need it for science.
Yeah, I'll get right on that.
To work with. If you want
Hang on, but
I think I have some plutonium in the garage.
There you go. That's what I like to hear.
Yeah, that's the NSA knocking on your door in 10 minutes.
All right, so let's see. Increasing.
I was kidding. Sorry.
Increasing the brightness, increasing the contrast. Oh, this section right here. There it is. The rocket body itself inside the actual smoke.
I can see that on my tablet exceptionally well, but they may not be able to see that. I can actually I can see the entire rocket right there in that frame.
I can see it too.
This is the entire first stage right there. This is what you called a flare. This is what you called a flare. You honestly think that is a fucking flare. You admit to not being able to do analysis, and after we do analysis, we can actually see the fucking rocket, and you still want to be an intellectually dishonest little shit.
Okay, that is not a shadow, dude. That is solid mass in there.
If it was a shadow, it would flicker a hell of a lot more.
So it's right fucking there, dude. Jesus Christ.
Also, if you want to use the argument of it's a flare, I want to point out something. If you're talking, it's one of those long flares that you slap open on one end and throw.
Yeah, a parachute flare. Parachute flare.
No. That is completely different from one of the ones you fire. The ones you hold in your hand, a lot longer. The ones you fire, really fucking short.
NatureHacker.
So it would not have.
I have on the video there. I have like a lot of videos of parachute flares. You can take a look and compare them and stuff.
Yeah,
you're talking about illumination rounds that the army and people use to illuminate battlefields and stuff like that. And
I think
that's
they're not going to have a stage in there. A player's not going to have a stage. Again, you may not be able to see it on a computer, but I'm looking at it on my tablet, and I'm telling you that is a freaking solid mass.
All right, how about this? I'm going to do this. Let me stop screen sharing real quick. Let me move this over. Let me move this screen to its own separate window. Let me make it the entire size of my fucking computer monitor, and then I will screen share. So hang on one second. Let me do this.
Make sure you turn off the donkey porn.
You know me and my donkey porn.
There's people in the side chat asking for that. So.
Okay,
I'm sure there's people. Well, to be fair, like
there.
Just...
There. Okay, so this
there
is
we go. That's it.
this right here. You see this rocket body right here? It's there, dude. That's the rocket body that you can see, and that is not a flare. Everyone can see it.
Can you increase the brightness anymore?
Decrease the brightness?
Increase the brightness anymore, can you?
Increase it. Yes, I can. I can increase the brightness. Hang on one second.
Redline, can I ask you to just like keep moving the mouse over it, like really work the shaft?
Yeah, I'll work the shaft. Trust me, I'm gonna work the chef like you won't fucking imagine. Okay, so
I love it when you talk dirty.
okay, I'm gonna increase the brightness now.
While you're doing that, can I point out one little observation I made? He tried to make the point that this looks different than all of your other launches. This is a landing.
Oh man. Oh, the lulz.
That was funny.
Okay, so does that work, Rocket Man, or more brightness, more contrast? What's up?
Well, yeah, you can see it a little bit better. You can actually see. It's hard to what's hard. It's hard to. I can make out the shape.
It looks like you can see the air brakes at the top too.
But now you can start to see a little bit more of the shape on the backside.
It's not even that. If you look,
Let me go back a frame.
No. Ah, shit! You had the perfect fucking frame for what I was going to say.
All right. Well, that's the frame I originally had.
If you're looking.
Oh, you can actually see. Look at that! Wow. You can actually see this flame walk up the actual body of the rocket.
Yeah,
Badass.
if you go back a couple frames as well, because you can actually see the smoke curling around the rocket because you have like a straight line of smoke and then it curls at a point.
Yep, you're absolutely right. You are absolutely right. Holy shit.
That's just wind, bro.
That's
I know. That's the point. It's the fact
that's beautiful right there. It's amazing. It's amazing.
You would not get that from something like, you might get it from a flare, but there's no flares that long. And
keep in mind
one of those special illumination rounds. Just up and smack into the ground.
Okay.
Well, no, they parachute, and they come down much slower than this. This is coming down pretty damn fast.
Houseoy. Distance, about 12 miles or so. Zoom, 60x optical. That is taking up this much of the fucking screen.
Oh my god, that'd be a huge flare.
How big is that flare?
About the size of my dick.
Also, he said 60 times magnified, not 60 times reduced.
Oh.
Seriously, how big would the flare have to be for a 60 optical X like that at that distance?
It's actually. Let me see.
Houseoy.
As big as a rocket.
Easily
as
like
big as a rocket.
No, that's easily like 45, 50 foot.
Okay, well, that makes sense. So yeah, so
this first stage would be a couple of stories. Seriously, this would be a couple of stories tall. In order for it to be this size in my camera at 60x optical from about 12 miles away.
Hey, Brad, I'm curious, is there any kind of settings you can put up on your camera so that it shows how much you're zoomed? Like, as you're recording, I mean.
Well,
I think that's only available on images.
Yeah, unfortunately, what I've been doing is I've been using my GoPro, putting that on my forehead, and recording myself actually doing the recording.
Yeah, I get that, but as long as you have that, like, as long as you have a signifier and a way of like testing it at the foreground to show like, hey, I'm not bullshitting. When it's displaying that number, it's a lot easier for people to work out size ratio, shit like that. And
I think it only delivers metadata on stills, I believe. But you can take a still initially and then just not zoom.
I get that, but it's more so like people like Nature can't just turn around and say, it's a flare!
It's NatureHacker. I'm sorry. So we called you on your bullshit in two accounts there. That is a fucking rocket, not a flare. Unless you want to claim that the Army or NASA is using flares the size of fucking rockets, you really don't have a leg to stand on there.
Also, I mean, I would love to see the size analysis, like a little bar. That would be cool. I don't know how big it is and stuff, but I still do think that it is a flare. But you know,
you're a fucking idiot. I just want you to know that.
Yeah, I hope you're not actually working in the engineering profession. Seriously, I'm not trying to.
You are.
Please don't design anything ever.
Yeah, the thing is that NatureHacker, we have conclusively debunked you, and you're still thinking that it's a flare, and I know why. It's because you don't want to admit that you're wrong about something. See, once you upload a video, you don't want to ever have to take it down admitting that you were incorrect about something. You'll still say it's a flare, even though we have demonstrated it not to be a flare, and you will sit there and you will willfully lie to people who are watching your video. And you wonder why, and people wonder why I get pissed off at people like you.
Yeah, what's
because people like you will lie, they will fucking deceive, and when they're shown to be conclusively wrong, they will not man the fuck up and just say, you know what, I was wrong, I was mistaken, my bad, guys. In fact, I'm gonna take this down, and in fact, or how about this? I'll post a second video in addition to that one explaining, listen, I just fucked up. That last video is a clear example of of how I fucked up, and this is the actual case. Red was kind enough to show me in his video editor, did an awesome fucking analysis to show the actual body of the rocket that was actually making the flame, thus showing not to be a flare. If you had just done that, you would have shown you to be an intellectually honest individual. But because you have already uploaded that video, you want to stand by it come hell or high water, no matter how badly the truth has been shoved up your ass, and lie to people.
And the best part is, if you're going to continue on this, it still looks like a flare. If it was magnified that much that you can clearly make out its shape, its length, shit like that, you would be seeing sparks, you would be seeing trails of flame much more clearly. You would not just be seeing a blob of flame.
That is a difference. And I attribute that difference to like just a higher quality fuel.
No. Don't even try saying there's a higher quality flame. I could have a sustained flame with a blowtorch.
No, here's the thing. The reason the sparks come off is that's chunks of unburned fuel that are kind of
No.
off.
Nature. I'm going to explain this. I could sit here burning a blowtorch in a in a horizontal line, as you saw in that video, right? Horizontal. I will still see sparks and little bits flicking out where it's escaping at a different angle, or it's bouncing off something, or a bit of soot from the flare. There has never been a sootless flare ever made.
Well, there's tons of smoke there. There's
coming off of it. Hold on, if there's not much smoke coming off of it, you're sure as shit gonna get chunks coming off, burning, sparking, all that shit. If it's even that much, you're gonna see that. And if you want to sit there and continue to be so dishonest again and again and again, then I just have no fucking respect for you.
Okay, so here's the thing. Apparently SpaceX is using flares the size of rockets. You know, it can't possibly be the fact that it's actually a rocket doing a controlled burn to do a landing. No, not at all. It's more believable to believe that there is a multi-story tall flare that they're using instead of an actual rocket going in for a landing, which was demonstrated. NatureHacker, this has been shoved up your ass, and I promised you I would be shoving it up your ass sideways. And I have accomplished that goal, and you're still being dishonest about it.
Well, what I don't understand, I mean, this video is at night, obviously. There's videos of this thing landing in the day. Why don't you just look at one of those?
There really aren't to this magnitude. I mean, there's the Blue Origin, but that whole video looks CGI to me.
Fuck off!
Oh, for fuck off with
There are videos of the SpaceX
the barge stuff.
But there's videos of it coming down when it's better lighting conditions, and you can see the thing coming down.
I can't think of anything. I don't think there is anything like
that.
Redline,
when's the next time something like that's going to happen?
April 8th.
Do you know if it's going to be daytime or nighttime?
It's going to be daytime, 4:30 in the afternoon.
Yeah. What I want you to do is to have your little magnifier counter, to set everything up to try and track the exact same fucking way. And then when that happens, I want you to get all of those pictures and let them out and wrap them around a steel pole and just, here's the picture, bang! Here's the picture, bang! Because that's the only way you're going to get it into his head is by physically beating it in there.
Yeah, he doesn't want to know. I mean, that's nature. I with all due respect, because I don't know you very well, but dude, I think you're really going beyond the pale to try to hold on to your misconceptions.
You're trying to hold on to your delusions, like, and this is the thing. This is the thing. These conspiracies are the biggest religion out there. Demonstrably false. False, spewing bullshit and trying to deceive people that watch their horse shit.
Yeah,
and you will sit. NatureHacker, honest question: how can you fucking sleep at night knowing that you're lying to people?
Yeah, I think it's got to be deliberate at this point. I'm sorry, Nature, but you've got to be at some point, and right now, thinking to yourself, you are deliberately lying to people. And I don't know why. I don't know what you're doing.
Absolutely not. Absolutely not.
Why? No. NatureHacker. Here's the thing. You may be able to fool the dumb fucks that think the Earth is flat and that rockets don't work in space, but you're not going to fool people, especially the guy who took the fucking video. Especially the guy that actually has the equipment, actually has the tools and capability to analyze the footage and see that isn't a fucking flare. You might be able to bullshit your friends. You're not going to bullshit me. So the thing is that you're not bullshitting me and that you don't know, that you honestly think that's a flare. The question is simple. Why the fuck are you lying to people?
I think
I'm not. I honestly think that's
is the never-ending dishonesty, the kind of people that decry 9/11 was an inside job, NASA's fake, the world is flat, it's only 6,000 years old, this was a false flag operation, the kind of people that spout bullshit without backing it up, and then anytime they get called out on it, they just curl up, get into defensive mode, and just, no, I'm right, you're wrong, I'm right, you're wrong, fuck your evidence, I'm right, you're wrong, my gut tells me this, my gut tells me this. Why don't you actually try intellectual honesty for once in your pathetic, insignificant life?
Is he a flat earther? Nature, are you a flat earther?
No, I'm not.
Okay. So, I mean, what is your vested interest in not accepting reality here? Because this is reality. We're not lying to you, okay? Nobody here got together and said, hey, let's all fuck with nature and, make them believe that there's actually rockets in space, okay? All of us have had some kind of experience.
Or that any of them land.
There can be motives. There could be motives.
NatureHacker,
I wouldn't do that.
NatureHacker, you are going out of your way to say that my video is misleading people. And I take offense to that for obvious fucking reasons.
Remember when this started, he called you a scammer?
Yes, he did.
I apologized for that.
I do apologize for that because, as it turns out that these could be some link issues and stuff. So, yeah.
I was standing up to you, Nature. They weren't reading my side check. I was trying to inform them of this because there's an ongoing problem. So that's why I give you the benefit of the doubt. But the rest of everything, I think you're being dishonest. I'm sorry. I can't give you the benefit of the doubt on that one.
The entire time I've been here, when I started, I didn't like you. I actually took a big fucking step back, and I tried to walk you through it, to be nice, to be kind, actually be courteous. Something I rarely fucking do.
This is true.
Because I actually thought you might have a bit of civility, a bit of common sense, a bit of an education about you. But instead, what I found is you're either willfully ignorant or fucking retarded. You strike me as the kind of person who is either lying, knowing full well he is, at this stage you should be a fucking politician, or you are literally pants-on-head retarded.
Oh, Red?
Yeah.
I just want to say, by the way, I took a couple of screenshots when you did the whole thing. I measured pixels and compared it to Atlas V 401 config that you have at the same zoom.
Yeah.
And the pixel difference between the two they're roughly 100 pixels, give or take a few pixels, which turns in there's 6 pixels per meter according to the standard height of the Atlas V 401. Mm-hmm. So what it ends up with is the stage that's actually landing from the Falcon 9 from calculating pixel height from the actual image turns out to be 41.6 meters. And you know what the stage 1 official height is?
41.7 meters.
0.2.
Pretty good.
So what you're saying is, by my video, we were able to look at the zoom and measure it based on that. And so Houseoid, what my video showed compared to the actual first stage length of the Falcon 9, it is the same?
Yes.
NatureHacker, you have officially been debunked. I mean, there's no way that we're able to do this.
I'd love to see the picture like that. That's
Houseoid, I am really impressed. That is
round of applause for
amazing,
Houseoid, everyone. Round of applause. Houseoid, good fucking job. Good job.
Houseoid may be the ugliest person to ever walk the earth, but he's a little trooper when it comes to math.
Okay, Houseoid, do me a favor, just because I have a rock on and I want to kind of get off on it. Start from the very beginning. You took my picture and did what?
Here, I can just quickly show you in a screen share.
No, he just wants to hear you instead while he strokes himself off.
Yes.
Here, the screen share here. Essentially, what I did, I took a still from the launches I used was Sean's launch and Micro's launch.
Okay.
They're taken with the same camera and at full optical zoom, and I can drag those over here. This is Micro's launch. and this is
yeah.
Sean's launch. So essentially, what it is this is the Atlas V 401. You measure this from top to bottom. This square or this rectangle is from the other launch. This is this one. It's essentially you take the diameter or the diagonal here. So the pixel height difference is roughly 100 pixels. I think I measured 97 or 98 pixels. I actually don't remember. It's here and stuff. So it turns out to be 41.66666 meters if I calculate just by the pixels. Because if I take 350 pixels on the Atlas V 401 and divide that by the actual height, which I have, if you just go off the wiki and you can see the height, which is 58 meters.
Wait, you forgot
Wikipedia's
in on the conspiracy, apparently.
Well, obviously, but that gives you 6 pixels per meter, and then you can do the math, and there you go. So,
NatureHacker.
Yeah, I don't think you got anything left, Nature. I really don't. Sorry,
Nature,
man.
you really have nothing left to go on, honestly.
Hey, Nature, I want to ask you a question. So you're not a flat earther, which I thought you were. So what you believe that all of NASA is just pocketing the money and doing nothing, or what? What do you believe in all this?
Well, yeah, I mean, I think that there are obviously definitely rocket launches, there's things like that, but, you know, it's creating jobs, things like that, but I do think that its main purpose is propaganda, actually.
What form of propaganda and for what purpose?
Well, just kind of like national power propaganda, things like that.
Okay, can I just point out there's 2 major issues with that. The majority of Americans don't give a fuck about NASA. Sad to say, their budget keeps getting slashed because of decrease in interest, which I do think is a great tragedy. It's one of the few parts of America I actually thoroughly enjoy. Their budget keeps getting slashed because people aren't coming to see the launches. If you want to go for the whole America's awesome, well, the Russians are doing better. And if you want to instill true patriotism, they're constantly at war. What's better than a guy sitting on a tank blowing up half of a village with a cannon going, "Fuck yeah, America!" Like, they have all the propaganda they could need. Why would they waste so much money on something that's not really getting people interested?
Not only that, NASA has to...
fucking guilty saying that as well with Rocket Man in here.
Not only that, but correct me if I'm wrong, Rocket Man, but doesn't NASA get half a penny for every dollar that we get?
Yeah, it's in that neighborhood. It's between half. I usually just round it off and say it's about 0.7 of a cent for every tax dollar.
Wait, isn't
the
the
U.S. spends goes to NASA.
guy? Oh, hold on, you're gonna have to remind me of the name of the politician that got put in charge of the budgeting. Isn't he a young Earth creationist?
I don't know.
Oh, his name completely fucking escapes me.
Yeah,
I know who you're talking about.
Yeah, I know who you're talking about too. His name escapes me too. NatureHacker. Well, okay.
Did. Remember, he's kind of a young Earth in some ways, but
NatureHacker, you fail on the scamming money part. You fail on the fucking flare shit part. You fail on the fucking landing part. You fail on the fucking rockets don't work in space part. I honestly don't know where else we can go from here.
So
you have resisted everything that we have been. I mean, Houseoid did the analysis for you. I did the fucking video recording. I didn't CGI this shit. I went there myself and saw it.
Oh, absolutely. I totally believe that, yeah.
So, Nature, I assume you think that we didn't go to the moon.
I do think that, yeah.
Wait, just for clarification, do you think America has went to the moon, yes or no?
No, I do not.
Okay, why not?
Well, for this reason,
before you actually continue, one little thing. If you're going to start using the whole Stanley Kubrick bullshit, don't even bother.
Well, I mean, the whole thing with the rockets don't work in space, I stumbled upon that. I mean, I didn't invent this. I stumbled upon that when I was researching.
When you were researching why the moon landings were fake, the thing is that if you go into research with a bias, you're going to get bias out.
Well, I honestly
here's something fun. A little personal story. A long time ago, I was perusing the internet in my stupid innocence, and I stumbled across something that allowed people to make crystals in a bowl. You only had to throw in a few household ingredients. Everyone would have them. You blow into a straw and magical crystals! I thought, hey, that might actually be somewhat interesting to try. If I hadn't have scrolled down, if I hadn't have actually read up on it more, I would have made chlorine gas.
Wow.
I would not be here. This is the point. You need to look at your research, and then you need to make sure it's peer-reviewed. You need to make sure someone's given it the once-over. You need to make sure it actually makes any kind of fucking sense.
That's not going to help them.
When you're trying to...
See, I worked in science, and I know that whole process is...
Just stop right there. Stop right there.
Before you even start on this shit, when you came in here, we had to explain to you the difference between a closed and what you called a total or open system.
Okay, the thing is that...
You keep bringing that up, but that's not even true.
All right, listen. The thing is that you might be able to bullshit your friends and thinking that you're an engineer. You're not going to play that bullshit on me, okay? It's not going to work. I do not believe for a second that you have any education. In fact, you probably don't even have a high school diploma, maybe a GED if you're lucky.
That's sad, because I was going to offer to tutor you in AP Physics. But...
Well, then they are a dumb fuck for offering it to you, because if I have to explain this shit to somebody that's apparently qualified, then I'm going to just fly through college, let me tell you. The thing is that when you came in here, you stated one thing that was demonstrably false. You didn't even have to do the research there. We did the research for you. We put the information on a silver plate, took a big ass bucket of Vaseline, lubed that shit up, and shoved it up your ass with a plunger. Basically, we did the hard work for you, and you still will not accept it. So
here's what's happened the entire time that's happened here. Okay, you came in. Picture this hangout as a restaurant. You came in saying, "I hungry for knowledge, make sad face." You came in, we sat you down nice and neatly. Let us push your chair in, sir. Would you like to browse the wine menu? Of course, sir, you're the fucking man. We don't actually have the kind of bullshit you're after. Instead, we have a much finer, higher grade thing that's actually being prepared by top fucking chefs. Let us serve you the bowl on a silver platter, sir. Gently, sir. Oh, sir's having trouble using his arms because he's pants on head retarded. Don't worry, sir. We'll spoon it in for you. In comes the airplane. Yeah. We have spoon-fed you the entire time as if you were a fucking child. Actually, no.
Yep,
Here's the funny thing. Here's the hilarious thing. The whole time this has been going on, I've been having a back and forth with one of my friends. They're watching on the stream their actual... they've been trying to post comments, but Google's being a cunt. Their kid, their 8-year-old son, has been sitting watching this the whole time. And seriously, dude, you know when I'm going to be on fucking streams not to do it, you dumb cunt. But anyway, so his little kid has been sitting here the whole time, following everything. He's asked his dad a few questions for clarification. He's been pondering things. He's been coming to conclusions on his own. I got a message from them not 10 minutes ago. This guy, Nature. Well, just gotta say, my son looked at him and thought, wow, what a fucktard. If he was in my school, he would be in the special ed class. How does that make you feel to know that a 10-year-old is being able to fucking keep track? That seriously, dude. What the fuck?
A 10-year-old was able to keep track.
As far as my appearance, I mean, it's basically on purpose,
No. When he says your appearance, he means the way you come off. The way
you haven't. Your camera has not been on the entire time. The way you come off.
Hey, Reg, whatever happened to that part 2 of that other guy? Remember we had asked him about satellites and like DirecTV and how to explain.
He tucked his tail and fucked right off as expeditiously as possible.
I kind of figured it. How
literally, I'm going to be frank here. 3 flat earthers since the time I posted my last video to Jism. 3 flat earthers have come forward, and all of them have ran away from a debate set to the exact same terms that was explained in Sean's part of my original video. So 3 flat earthers have run away. and that guy is one of them.
Yeah.
Except no. That guy is one of them in the sense that he is a conspirator that's run away. So technically, he would be number 4. I'll put him in a special class. So 4 people have ran away, including that douchebag. We're not having another go. Sorry.
Come back. Well, let's ask Nature that same question though. Nature, have you ever installed a DirecTV before satellite dish? Very direct.
Oh, yeah, I know how they work. I know how. Yeah.
Can you and you understand the frequency being used, so it's not something that's ubiquitous. It's not going to be like a radio wave, like an FM radio, but it's going to be bounced both ways. This is the microwave. So it has to be directional to that satellite to get that tone. If there's nothing up there, what are you pointing at?
Well, first of all, there is stuff up there. I'm not going to argue with that. I mean, I used to be basically an amateur astronomer.
What's up there? What's up there, and how did it get there?
Yeah, what's up there then? It's not an orbit, obviously. It has to be an orbit. That's stationary.
Yeah, definitely. There is stuff in orbit. I mean, I saw the ISS not a month ago. So I mean, there's stuff up there.
How did they put that up there? Did they like climb to the top of the Empire State Building and like hold it until it started floating?
Everyone do me a favor. Everyone do me a favor and shut for a sec. Rob says, at Red's Rhetoric, at Household, Jism is in the chat, invite him in. Is Jism really in the chat? I'm not seeing
Jism!
Isn't he A4 in chat or something?
Yeah.
Is that Jism?
If I'm right, A4's been here for quite a while. I think Jism actually came in and got booted.
Yeah, Jism was here. I don't know. Jism was there. They were talking to him, so I don't know.
I did not. Hang on, just to be clear. If Jism was in the chat, I did not boot him.
Me neither.
No, I think the chat just tore him to shit and he fucked off.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so let's get. Let me understand your reasoning here, Nature. The ISS you've seen, but it didn't get up there by rocket.
Hang on. Let me just say this, then we'll continue. Jism, if you are in the chat right now, hear me now. I am going to send you an invite right now, both on G+ and in Skype. So if you want to come on in, you are more than welcome to get your ass handed to you.
I need more tacos at this point.
I would really like him to come in. I got one very.
I don't see anything.
So Nature, well, let Nature finish where he's going with that. So I'm really curious. How does the ISS get up there if it's not in orbit and other satellites are not in low orbit and it doesn't use rockets? So yeah.
Right. Yeah. So, well, basically, what I believe happens is they are launched by rockets, and they are.
But I thought rockets didn't work.
Right. They basically peter into zero thrust at that height, but what I'm thinking is they get launched.
They actually gain thrust, if I remember correctly.
Right. According to the thought.
Yeah,
but according to my thought.
There's higher levels of friction down here because there's a denser atmosphere.
Just go with nature's.
So they get thrown up there. So I think they get thrown up there. It's an elliptical orbit.
It's a fucking catapult.
And
all orbits are elliptical.
Right. But but basically what I think is it circularizes via tidal circularization.
Oh my God!
Tidal circularization.
Say that one more time.
Can somebody say that in English? Because I don't speak that way.
Tidal, like a tide, and then circularization, like it goes from elliptical to more circular.
I want to point out what you've just said, tidal circularization. Right. That literally makes no sense.
Well, it's an actual thing, so
really
look it up.
Can you give some citation on that, please?
Wait, I don't have a computer, but Nature, are you talking about if you have tidal forces, you're eventually going to have less elasticity of the elliptical orbit?
Absolutely.
Okay, absolutely. Yeah, but what the stuff? It's still in space, though, dude. I buy what you're saying about
tidal. It's in space. Right, it's in space. But in the last discussion we had, one person was saying, well, you have to use rockets to circularize the orbit.
That was me.
Okay, right. So I was looking it up, and I think that tidal circularization could happen.
Please.
Just Wikipedia. I mean, just Google it. Wikipedia.
You
I thought
need
Wikipedia
to have
was
an
being taken over by the conspiracy. You said that.
Well, some pages more than others.
Wikipedia had been altered and it was, oh, there was people crashing Wikipedia or something to that effect. So why
Yeah.
would like
some pages more than others? I mean, there's bugs.
Oh, right, sure.
I would like to see the delta V figures you would need to be able to shoot something into a direct elliptical orbit that has both a periapsis and apoapsis that is outside of the Kármán line.
All right, hang on.
Well, I mean, you could think of
going
the
back,
moon.
going back to chat for a sec. Look, guys, if you're in the chat and you think that one douchebag is Jism, I sent it to his Skype, so he can come in if he wants. If he doesn't want to, well, he's just a fucking pansy.
Yeah, I mean,
Continue.
One thing to say in Jism's defense. Oh god, it feels weird to say that. In Jism's defense, it may be someone else who's just pants on head retarded, and Jism isn't actually there. So
yeah. So well, like I said, if Jism's not there, then he's not there. But if he is there, he has the link, and if he doesn't come in, then he's a puss cake in that regard. But actually, I think he would be a puss cake regardless, because we've already determined that he is a puss cake. So he'll be a puss cake by default.
Something I want to actually ask Nature. The entire time you've been here, you've kept saying, "Oh, just Google it, look up, the information's there, the data's out there." You haven't provided a single fucking thing that we haven't immediately gone to and went, "No, you've looked at that wrong."
Well,
so
look,
I would like you to provide us with some nice, tasty, peer-reviewed data to support your
tidal circularization and tidal force is a real thing. It's a celestial mechanics thing, but it's something that happens over a very, very, very long time.
If I may, I'm not actually saying that the tidal circularization thing, that it's a term I hadn't heard and it just sounded a bit daft. The thing I'm talking about is where he says that they just blast shit into space and it's magically in orbit the way it goes. If you can provide some kind of links or data or proof of that Mad Hatter theory.
I still want to see the delta V requirements.
Because here's the thing, Nature, the difference...
Well, I mean, we're not launching it straight up. I mean, we're launching it... It's obviously I mean, you can watch Red's footage and stuff.
Nature?
Yeah, obviously, it's
Nature, let me finish something. Here's one of the main differences between me and you. You see, you deny shit that could disprove your patented bullshit. You agree with everything, and then as soon as rockets are made, you shit a brick. Whereas if some new information comes along that changes my mindset, I'll fucking make sure it's accurate, and I'll be skeptical as balls about it for a while. But I'll change my opinion. I've done it many times. Red's done it to me. Red, I can't remember off the top of my head exactly what it was, but he did once change my mind on something I was very stubborn about. Other people have done it. I'm willing to change my mind, but the entire time you've been here, you have not changed your mind. You've doubled down. You've said, no, I'm right, you're wrong, fuck you. You're a...
Well, I mean...
And this is after you have practically admitted, like for example with the flare video, you've admitted that you don't have any way to analyze the footage.
Yep.
And
you also admitted that you'd never seen a flare that had started, stopped, and started again. Which
and not only that, but after we went in and looked at the footage, Housesoy actually measured it, given what we were telling him. It's at this much zoom and it's this far away, so on. You can do angular size to figure out exactly how big the fucking object is to appear that big in the screen. At this point, you have doubled down on everything that has been demonstrably false, and this is why I'm saying this to you, because you are a fucking pathological liar that is lying to your audience. Well, what little audience you fucking have.
I need to say this. Okay, Stephen Rockin, I'm gonna ask you two. Do you guys know if it's even possible to enter an elliptical orbit where your periapsis is higher than your point of launch without entering a solar orbit?
Why does it have to be higher?
Otherwise, you land back on the ground.
Yeah.
You're not going to stabilize.
This is basic orbital mechanics.
Sure, you're way past Earth escape velocity at that point.
You do know what a circularization or burn is, correct? Circularization burn. Do you know why we do that?
I mean, that's the whole reason.
In the name.
The reason we do that is so we don't fall back down to Earth. If it's a ballistic trajectory, unless you're going to be going in escape velocity, you're gonna come back down to Earth. The way you get into space and stay in space is that you have to circularize. Can't even talk right now. You have to make the orbital thingy, not go back to the Earth thingy. You wanted to stay above it.
I think we're talking hours of burn instead of minutes of burn at that point too, which means that you have to burn for a long time in vacuum, which apparently doesn't work.
That's why when you look at like for example SpaceX or ULA, you'll see sometimes they do what's known as a coast phase, and then they'll do another burn. Do you know why they do that?
Coast phase and another burn. I mean, I don't know specifically. No.
Okay. I'll walk through this, and Rocket Man, if I am incorrect, please jump in and correct me, okay?
I don't know the brick when you do so.
Okay. When they fire the rocket, they start gaining speed. They angle that off towards the horizon, so they actually don't have to fight gravity as much. Once they reach a speed that will get them to their orbit height that they want to eventually have, they cut the engines. They let it coast to where, I think it's the apoapse.
Yeah, well, right before it.
They'll let it coast until right before they hit the apoapse. Then they'll turn the engines on again to gain more speed from that point that pushes their periaps farther away from the surface of the Earth.
And at that point, you're actually...
If they don't do that, it will just fall back down because it's on a ballistic trajectory.
Yeah, and at that point, you're actually slightly burning towards the planet again.
Yeah.
So...
Because you're changing a velocity vector.
So... The thing is, you're not arcing over because you're fighting to try to fight gravity. You're arcing over because you're trying to get lateral speed, right?
Right.
Because speed straight up doesn't do anything. You go straight up, you're going to come straight down.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
So
Good thinking.
you've got to get lateral speed. You know,
right.
So which is why you launch from as far south as you can. That's why we launch out of Canaveral. Because we get a little boost from the Earth's rotation.
The reason the Earth is not flat.
Every
delta V you can get from the rotation is free.
Yeah, it's just a little bit of extra momentum from the Earth's rotation that you
like the tidal acceleration.
So
no.
It's tidal acceleration. He actually said, how far is the ISS there? About 200 miles, Brad?
250 miles.
Yeah.
Well over the 62.5 line. It's in outer freaking space, right?
Yes.
Yeah, it's well past the Kármán line, yeah.
Yeah, it's well past the Kármán line. So right there, if he's emitting the ISS up there, his whole thing is done at that point. It's done.
Well, that's like, a dolphin can jump out of the water, but it doesn't have to swim in the water or swim in the air.
Here's the point about the ISS. They have to...
Dude, seriously, this is getting really pathetic.
Let's Sean talk.
Let me go down the list first because I'm about ready to just fucking call it quits because I've been at this guy for how many hours now, and I'm just getting fucking frustrated dealing with his demonstrable intellectual dishonesty right now. Okay, NatureHacker, yes or no? Do rockets work in space given everything that we have shoved up your ass unceremoniously?
No.
NatureHacker, do rockets work in space given everything we have shoved up your ass?
Who?
I don't know where you're going with this.
I'm just looking for your answer. Given everything we've said, everything we have said, do rockets work in space?
How about, is it plausible that they can work in space?
In my mind, no.
Okay, so the answer is no then on that. So given the analysis that we did of the footage that you said was a flare, we demonstrably showed it not to be. We demonstrably showed it to be a first stage rocket that is how tall, how soy?
Well, technically speaking, it's 41.2 or whatever. Yeah. But I measured a half meter wrong.
Okay, so 40 something meters. So given that, do you still want to double down and say that is a flare?
I personally do still believe that is fully
Okay, good. So you're
Can I ask you to do
full of shit on the first one demonstrably, and you're full of shit on the second one demonstrably. Now we get to the third thing. You're saying shit is in orbit, and you're saying that shit gets shot into orbit, but yet you don't actually know the mechanics of how orbits work, or how the status of being in orbit is achieved.
Well, let me ask you this: how did the moon get up there?
Oh fuck!
Are you saying that we
Tide
launched
goes
the fucking
in,
moon?
tide goes out. You can't explain that.
No, how did the moon get in orbit, in a satellite orbit?
Okay, do you really, really want to start going down the entire route of during the formation of the solar system, the sun?
Sure, I mean,
all
I
of it?
think it's the exact same principles.
No, it's not.
No, hold on. It is not the same principle because we are not having rockets smash. We're not having rockets about the same size as the Earth smashing into the Earth.
Yeah.
You have the
That
same
would
thing.
be
You
the same
have
thing.
No.
You have
no.
vertical and horizontal velocity.
NatureHacker, here's the fact of the matter. During the formation of the planets, there were a lot of planetesimals orbiting the sun. There was a shitload of them, and they were crashing into each other.
What was the name of the one?
When you have the Earth, pre-Earth, we'll call it that because it wasn't really the Earth then, because it was called Earth after the collision. You had another planetary body called Theia. Theia
I always thought it was Theia for some reason.
Yeah,
Anyway.
Theia was already in its own orbit around the sun, and the two orbits between what would become the Earth and Theia, they crashed into each other in their that collision threw out a bunch of debris. Now, some of that debris went off, but other bits of that debris, due to the angular velocity that they already had, shot some of it out and eventually coalesced into a ring around the planet. So for a while there, our planet looked like a little mini Saturn. Now, because we're not as big as Saturn, the debris within the ring, because of gravity, started to clump together, and that is what eventually became our moon.
Here's a fun little piece of information.
That's not what happened with a fucking rocket launch.
Here's a fun little piece of information that people don't realize. Well, a lot of people would realize it if they thought about it, but some people haven't figured it out. Whenever that collision happened, it wasn't like an immediate thing. It took days, weeks, maybe even months, well, maybe not that much, for them to like grind against each other, smashing into each other, wrecking the fuck out of each other, because they are massive celestial bodies.
That's an interesting thing to think about.
Not only would it take days, weeks. Not only would it take days, weeks, and months. It would take fucking hundreds of thousands of years. And the thing is that when you have planetary bodies that crash into each other.
Red, he's not talking about the actual formation of the moon as is. He's talking about
as is
stuff clumping together to form the base foundation.
Yeah, what I was going to say is when I say it took days, weeks, maybe not months, I mean like for the impact grinding. The accretion disk would have taken a lot longer to form into something we would know as Luna or the moon.
That formation.
Here's the thing. Here's the hilarious thing is if you want to start saying like, that's the exact same way, like things were spinning off and flying in all these different trajectories. They were such massive entities. The fragments they made were so small that a lot of it would have been dust, shit the size of a fucking pebble.
Pumpkin, you're cutting out. Do me a favor, hop out and hop back in.
Aww.
It's not breaking up for me.
Not me either.
Then it might be me. Then like I said, I'm just about to cut this short because it's almost midnight here, and I've been kicking the shit out of this guy. And basically, let me just ask people in the chat right now, because I want to give them the benefit of the doubt, but I want to see if other people do or other people think I should. Is NatureHacker fucking retarded? Is he intellectually dishonest? Or is he a combination of both? What do you guys think in the chat? Or you can even add a fourth option there and say he's the most brilliant fucker on the goddamn planet if you want. Just tell me what you guys think. And then after that part, I'm fucking done with this hangout, honestly.
What I've learned from NatureHacker is no matter how much you try, you can lead a horse to water, you can't make it drink. Especially if that horse is pants on head retarded.
I mean, isn't that being a little
of,
prideful to think that it's you that's leading me to
let me
find
explain
something?
why let me explain.
Not when reality lines up with it.
Also, let me explain specifically why I think we were the ones leading you to water. We gave you lots of evidence. We gave you lots of examples, lots of analogies. We broke it down into its simplest forms because apparently you don't actually understand mechanics properly. We tried it as best as we fucking could. We literally brought you all the information. You drank a little bit. You took every dot, you connected it to the next one, to the next one, to the next one, to the next one, to the next one. You refused to step back and see the full picture. You were either willfully ignorant, a willful liar, or just pants on head retarded.
You've been just as stubborn in your position as I've been in mine, so.
The thing is that we're stubborn in our position for a good reason, because the thing is that there's something holding us to our position, and that is demonstrable evidence.
I mean,
Nature, what you've been saying the entire time you've been here is, I think you guys is wrong, because closed system thingy, we cut that down to size. I think you guys is wrong because this, we cut that down to size. Everything you've tried to present to us has been cut down to size. You've made an extraordinary claim this entire time. And you want to know the thing about extraordinary claims? They require extraordinary evidence. And
you know what? The most extraordinary claim is that we've been to the moon. So I'm still waiting for the extraordinary evidence of that.
Listen.
To the moon. I want you to literally do me just one simple favor. This entire conversation, I've realized two things. You have an incredibly large ego and a fucking tiny intellect. I want you to climb to the top of your ego and jump down to your fucking IQ and kill yourself.
Seriously.
Yeah.
Okay.
Nature, hang on. Let me talk. Let me address some of this stuff real quick. Nature, listen. I understand where some of the disbelief comes from if you didn't live through a lot of the advancements in technology and the space program and stuff like that, right? I'm assuming you're in your mid-20s. Is that close?
Reasonably close.
Yeah. All right. So you've lived in a pretty, technologically advanced time, and so some of the things you take for now, and you're like, well, why did we go to the moon? We never came back. We never went back. Well, we never went back because it was expensive, But you got to realize is now you look at this stuff and it's history, and it's somewhat obscure because it's not being covered on national TV like it was back in that time, where it was the thing, and there were stories and news articles, and everything in life revolved around the space race and what Russia's doing and what NASA's doing and so on and so forth. And there was you got to think of a conspiracy like the moon landings. If that was a conspiracy or faked, it would take an enormous amount of people to be in on it. Enormous. I'm talking tens of thousands of people being in on it.
And the idea that not one of them would have slipped up and dropped serious.
But there wasn't. I mean, there was so much division of information.
No, there wasn't.
Everything was secret. Everything's secret.
No, there's not. There is nothing secret about the space program. It was all public information.
It's top secret. I mean, the actual building of the spaceship and the launch. It's all top secret.
What you're saying right there of it being top secret is demonstrably false. Just like everything else you have shoved up your ass.
What he's doing right now.
You think it's fine if Russia could understand what we were doing?
Nature, what you're doing right now is diverting from the fact that everybody here, I've already kicked your ass, and now you're trying to take it to a whole different subject, which is for another topic at another time.
Russia.
Nothing to do with what we've already discussed, and what you're doing is diverting attention from the facts we've already presented to you. That is what a disingenuous person does, and I've seen it a lot. I see it with youngest creationists in my hangouts all the time. You are doing a textbook diversion right now. Because we don't have time to really get into moon things. We've done it all before. Red's done it numerous times. It takes several hours, and he said he already has to go. For you to bring it up now shows you are a disingenuous person.
Well, I think we could look back can see I probably wasn't even the one who changed the topic to this. So.
No,
you did.
actually.
But let me hang on. Let me get back.
You literally changed the topic by saying the biggest claim has been about the moon landing. You literally fucking changed the topic by saying that.
Everyone shut up for a sec. Let me get Rocket Man back on it.
Let me get back to what he was saying. Your claim about it was top secret. You're speaking from a person that has grown up in an entirely different age. Now, espionage is a trivial matter. You have an internet. You can transmit somebody data instantly. This was in a time when that did not exist, right? So what you were seeing, you were seeing news stories and you were seeing public interest things that talked about a lot of this stuff. But what you didn't see publicized is how they solved the combustion instability problem on the F1 engine. Okay. Because that was a technical detail that would mind-numbingly bore the public, but that's the kind of thing you need to know to launch a rocket.
Right.
Right?
At the same time,
so
there was
now somebody could mail a PDF or an analysis file to somebody in another nation in literally seconds. But that kind of thing took an inside person. So you're disconnected from what the reality of the time was.
From what I understand of it, at the time there was the terrible fear of the Americans versus the Soviet Union, that the terrible Red Scare that was going on. You wouldn't want to put that out because at the time people were worried that all this space race thing was just going to be used to make bigger, scarier, farther-reaching bombs.
Okay, here's the thing, though, and another thing I want to say is that NatureHacker, we were in competition with the Russians, and the Russians would have been the first people that had the capability of calling us out on the bullshit if the bullshit was actually happening.
I think they started.
No, and you want to know why they didn't, and you want to know why all the other countries didn't, is because they had the capability of eavesdropping. And they were, in fact, eavesdropping on us, just like the British were eavesdropping. And that's why the Australians, we actually hired the Australians to eavesdrop. You know, the thing is that when they point their telescopes at the moon, they heard speech. They heard talking. If we did not go to the moon, then what we would hear if we pointed our dish at the moon was silence.
Now look, let me talk to you about the scale a little bit, okay? One, you've got all the people in NASA alone, right, that were basically focused on this mission, right? And that was, and at that time, that was the budget for that was like, it was like 5 to 7% of the U.S. budget. I mean, it was huge, right? And that's a big deal. Now, so you've got people all over the nation working on hardware. If you look at the Apollo and where the stuff was built, the whole Saturn, Mercury, Gemini, Apollo, and you look at where everything was built, it was built in people's backyards in little shops all over the country. It was everywhere. Parts of it were built, you know, God knows where. Parts of the stuff come from, I mean, every state in the Union had something to do with it, right? Now, the capsules go around the Earth, right, and they have to come down. Well, NASA doesn't have a Navy, so what do? The Navy is out there in the oceans with armadas of ships to recover the capsules when they come down. So you've got all these sailors that are out there in the Pacific and the Atlantic Ocean, and these armadas of ships recovering capsules that come back from space.
Oh, and
they see the things. They see the things coming back down. So you've got literally tens of thousands of people out in the oceans watching the things come down. You've got communications setups around the world because these things are traveling around the world, and we can't talk through the Earth. So the only way to do it, we didn't have satellites at that time like we do now. So the only way to do it was we had ground stations placed around the world. One was in Canberra or near Canberra, Australia. They're actually the ones that received the television footage from the first moon landing. There's one in, I can't remember where, but they were spaced around the world. So there was constant communications with the capsules around the world. So different nations were involved, right? I mean, it was massive. It was freaking massive.
Right.
And all the data that we gathered in the rocks, and we put experiments up there that are still there. They're still being used. There is one of the experiments up there now that we still use to laser range find the distance to the moon on a regular basis. That's how we measure the distance to the moon so precisely. We shoot a laser somewhere in Texas, I don't remember where it is, shoots a laser up there, hits this reflector system, and it comes back down, and they can measure the delay and they can measure the distance to the moon just perfectly. Right?
But they also did the same method before the reflector was there to measure the distance to the moon.
No.
The moon is reflective.
Incorrect.
The moon reflects.
The albedo is about like 0.11 or 0.13 or something like that on average, I think it is.
They did skip ham radio off of it, and I guess you really could use ham radio to determine.
Yeah, but the laser method that we're using,
it's pinpoint accuracy.
But
pinpoint accuracy and that will not work off of just the surface alone.
Yeah, no, you have to have a reflector for a laser.
You're full of shit there, demonstrably.
No, I mean it's reflective. It's reflecting the sunlight to us.
It won't reflect the fucking laser.
Okay, listen.
Let me just quickly say, if you're saying like yes, it does actually reflect light. If you hold up a white rock, it's gonna reflect light.
Right.
Okay, I just double checked and I was
measure the distance to it with a laser.
I just double checked and I was right. The albedo is on average 0.12, and I said between 0.11 and 0.13. That is a very low albedo.
Okay, look. If you hit a laser on the moon, it will reflect, but it will scatter. Lasers will scatter on the surface of the moon. The reflector package that is up there is got a special name, and I can't think of it, but it's designed so that the light comes out of the reflector at the exact same angle it comes in. Basically, if you look at reflectors on bicycles, that's what it is. Okay? You know how you hit a reflector on a bicycle and it lights up like that?
Right.
That was developed for this, and it was used commercially after that. Is it a retroreflector, I think? I can't remember.
Yeah. Okay, hang on. I can explain this. NatureHacker, you can do this very easily at an arts and crafts shop. Go to Michael's or Mitchell's or whatever the fuck it's called. Grab 3 mirrors, okay? Put one on the floor, or one facing face up, and then put the 2 on the same side of the square. Basically, turn it sideways as to make it kind of a diamond, and then put the 2 at one corner. Okay? So that way you have a corner of 3 mirrors. Okay? Then what you do is you grab a laser pointer, grab a cheap one from the fucking drugstore, they have them there, and shine that laser at that mirror assembly tilted on its side. What you will get, because you have the 3 mirrors there that are at perfect angles to each other, that laser will orientate itself within the mirrors as to bounce back the same way it came in. Try it yourself, and that is exactly what we placed on the moon.
And that's still there. They
there.
Use that today.
You can have a flat mirror too. It's the same thing.
No. Here's the thing about a flat mirror. If you just have one mirror, based on the angle, it will shoot the laser off in a different, which when you're talking about the distance between Earth and the moon, it could shoot the laser off right out into space and not actually hit the detector. We want the laser to come back the same way it went in.
It's just called a flat mirror.
No.
Wait. Here's the perfect way to explain it. Nature. When you're in the arts and crafts shop with your little laser, just lay the mirror down flat on the floor and shine the laser at like a 45-degree angle. Do you want to know what's going to happen? It's going to bounce off but not come back to you.
Well, I mean, just go stand in front of the mirror at an angle. Do you see yourself? No, you see what's across the room.
Exactly, same problem. And the way they avoided that is by orientating multiple mirrors in this configuration. And if you do this and you get a cheap-ass laser pointer from the drugstore, point it at the damn thing, you'll see that this works. And that is exactly what we have on the moon, and it's still being used to this day.
It actually wouldn't work because let's say if it's coming in at an angle of 45, it'll go up at an angle of 45.
NatureHacker.
No.
Oh, I see the orientation. Okay, I see that the orientation is different than I had imagined.
I can demonstrably show you.
I got a screen shared.
Oh, you got it?
Thank you.
You got what screen shared?
This is the same as if you have what's it called? The thing I only know the Norwegian word for it. The one you wear to be visible at night. What do you guys call that?
Yeah,
it's the same. It's reflectors that you see now every day on bicycles.
Like if you see someone walking with one of these on his clothes or on the bicycle on a backpack or on a helmet or whatever, that's what's on it.
Yeah, but
every single one.
It's a much bigger one, right? It's much bigger.
Yes.
But the thing was, those reflectors, that was made so that you could actually hit a laser on it at the moon and reflect the light back. So because otherwise it would just scatter, right?
Mm.
Now, all right. So I mean, so that's still there. They use that today. They measure it. All right. Well, I would say you can go online and look at the lunar orbiter pictures and actually make out some of the features of the landing sites, but you'll just say that's Photoshop, so I'm not going to go there.
Okay, so yeah,
here's the thing about the reflectors. Whatever angle the light hits them at, they come back out at the exact same angle. No matter how you point at the laser at them, it will come back directly towards the laser. With a flat mirror, it goes at an angle away from the light source.
It does work that way.
But unless you're shooting directly at it.
No. NatureHacker, you can point the laser at any angle, and it will come back to you at the same angle. That's the reason why they use this method.
Right. But what I was saying is that if you're at a perfectly flat angle, you can just bounce.
Yeah, but a perfectly flat angle is
flat angle.
Okay.
You can't be that reliably.
It will never be that reliable. NatureHacker, here's the thing. I've been talking to you. It's 12:05 at night. I'm fucking done with this horse shit. Okay. The thing is this. I'm just gonna make my conclusion, and then I'm gonna make everyone else make their conclusion, and that's gonna be the end of this hangout. I think you're a disingenuous little shit. You are a liar. You are knowingly lying to your audience because we have shoved multiple things up your ass. We have shown you that rockets do in fact work in space. In fact, you even connected the dots. We have shown you the fact that the rocket that's being shown in my landing footage, Sean's launch of the Falcon 9 landing, is not a flare, but is in fact a first stage fucking rocket. We have shown you that there's nothing out of the ordinary when it comes to orbits, considering you have to do a circularization burn. You can't just have a fucking ballistic trajectory and shit. We've gone over the fucking moon landing shit, and I already know that you're not going to accept that, so I won't even bother. I'm telling you right now, NatureHacker, I think you are a disingenuous little shit. You know you're lying to your audience, and how you're able to sleep at night, I have no fucking clue. That's it. I'm done. Alright, Anger Pumpkin, say what you gotta say.
I think you're probably one of the most disingenuous pieces of shit I've ever met. The only times you were being honest tonight was when you didn't realize the conclusion it was leading you to. You are one of those people who thinks you're fucking cleverer than everyone else. You're a scheming little shit. I honestly hope you figured this shit out one day, but if not, I hope you get fucking shit on from on high.
Alright, Steve.
Man, Nature, you know what? I don't even know what to say. I'm just kind of appalled that for somebody that could actually agree with everybody in here at a certain point, and then all of a sudden, at the very end, when you're on that pivotal point, say, but it doesn't work because of this, and you don't even know what this is. You're just making shit up. So unfortunately, Nature, I got to go with the consensus here. You might be a nice guy. I think you're catering to your audience. I think that you are being very dishonest. I think that you need to watch this video from the beginning to the end on your own leisure, and then listen to what people are telling you. Listen to how many times you've actually admitted that you were wrong without actually saying it, by that we were right. And then, you know what, post a video and just say, you know what, I fucked up, and thanks to the people inside the hang, especially Reds, I've learned from this, and that would be the most honest position anybody could take. If you do not do that, you cannot consider yourself to be an honest person. I'm sorry.
Hal Soy.
I think Rocketman kind of touched on it, and I wanted to elaborate further on it. And I think one of the things that gets lost in all of this, and you've touched on it before in a video, right? And I'd actually really like to just play that clip. But what people seem to forget is that we're not just dealing with random people. We're talking about people that many of which have been passionate about this from the very, like, it might even be their first memories that this is what they wanted to do. Someone like Neil deGrasse Tyson that had an experience in an observatory, and he knew that I'm going to learn about the stars. The same kind of people like this, they see these things and like, I want to be a part of that. So essentially what's happening is it's as if you were a carpenter or a mechanic or an electrician and someone tells you, the fuck you built that house, the fuck you fixed my car, it's your fucking fault my electrical wires failed because I stuck a fucking screwdriver into a socket and burned my house down. It's not just, we're not just talking random faceless people, we're talking people that have a passion, that love what they do, and that get lost in all of this. It's not just a blanket faceless organization. There's real people with real passion that do real work that we benefit every single fucking day, and that keeps getting lost, and it needs to be emphasized.
Yep. Sean.
I think everybody's pretty well covered it. Yeah, you've connected dots all night long. We've given you a picture of a giraffe, and you've connected all the dots for it, and ended up with a rabbit. I'm trying to figure out how that works.
To Rocket Man.
Yeah, look, I'm not going to beat you up, man. I'm just going to say this. Look, the thinking all of this is a lie is just it's really naive, and you've suspended your own ability to critically think. Okay, you really have to think about the scale of what the moon landing was, and NASA and all the space programs since the moon landings, and all the satellites and all the deep space probes and all the data that we've collected from the satellites and these deep space probes. That data comes back and goes to scientists around the world, and they use that data to figure out all kinds of things about the universe and the way planets formed and everything about us. If that stuff was faked, and if we were just sitting around, if we had a bunch of people just sitting around cooking the books, so to speak, to say, hey, we're doing this to just keep the money flow going, which is just really an asinine thing to think about if you think about it. Or it's an asinine thing in general if you think about it. But if that were fake in any way, it would have been caught a long time ago. It is not something you can fake. It is not even close to being something you can fake. And like House always said, and you've got people that have grown up watching the space programs and the sciences, and they want to go up, and they go up to be scientists. And you don't think that when those people grew up and went to college and then became scientists and astronomers, and some of them went on to be astronauts or engineers, and they got into the system and they found out it was fake, you don't think there would be some disgruntled people around and that would blow the whistle? I mean, that's just, it's an asinine concept to think that. Okay, so you've suspended the ability to critically think. To think that something like this is possible without getting caught is ludicrous. It's ludicrous, okay? The amount of information out there on the Apollo missions and every other mission that we've ever done is massive. The NASA is a public agency. Everything we do is public information. If you want to know something, all you simply have to do is call one of the NASA centers or file a Freedom of Information Act, and the stuff gets sent to you. Anything you want, unless it is somehow embargoed by trade agreements because of, like, rocket technology can become a missile, under the wrong hands. But the science, all the science data, all the deep space data, it can all be gotten with just filing the paperwork. Yeah. All right. So I mean, it's just, you really really, if you think it's all fake, and I'm going to say this about a lot of conspiracies in general, you're wasting your time on that type of thing. You should educate yourself, and by I say educate yourself, don't watch YouTube videos by other conspiracy theorists. That's not education. Okay? That is misinformation. Educate yourself by reading reputable sources, authors that have written books, not just technical books, but books on, what we did during Apollo and everything else. Read that. There's tons of stuff out there. It is huge. All right? Come back to reality and quit turning off your brain.
Yep. NatureHacker, just to make sure that you don't think we're stepping on toes, I'll give you the last word, and then I'm ending the hangout. What's your last? Go ahead.
I just want to thank all of you for taking the time. I mean, it's been, an interesting time. Definitely learned a lot, and I hope to do this sometime in the future as well. And so I mean, my basic philosophy is, to question everything, and really try to understand everything. You can understand it if you put your mind to it. Whether you're educated or not, you can dive into it. You can find somebody to help you learn, and buy books on, Amazon, use books. I mean, that's just an awesome way to educate yourself. So that's what I encourage everybody to do, is just think for themselves. Don't take anything at face value, and analyze it with the best of your ability. So thanks so much.
And with that, hangout is officially over.
Red, I'm going to tell you, like I do with all these guys, I'm going to put the offer out there. If you've got a question and you want to ask me something, feel free to contact me, okay?
Excellent, thank you.
I'm a Rocket Man on G+.
All right.
And with that, this hangout is going to be officially over.
Thanks for watching. I am the NatureHacker, signing off. Check me out on my channel, NatureHacker and NatureHacker Mind.